Chapter 6:15. Qin Shujian felt something in his heart. The heaven list in his sea of consciousness was also taken out. From today onwards, I am the Qin Emperor. Boom. The providence of the heaven roll exploded and shot straight into the clouds, resonating with the providence of the great Zhao dynasty. Meanwhile, in the cultivation world, all the sect's fortunes soared into the sky. The providence of the heaven roll, which was originally inferior to that of the great Zhao dynasty, had now grown to a level comparable to that of the great Zhao dynasty. Boom! The heaven list's aura was vast and mighty, suppressing the heavens and earth. In the meantime, the imperial jade seal in the hands of the human emperor, also known as Emperor Zhao, also exploded with a shocking amount of fate. Above the eastern continent, the fortune of the human race appeared out of nowhere. The extremely dense yellow providence turned into a river that ran through the entire eastern continent and even reached the human domain. A ranking list. Imperial Jade Seal. It appeared in the river of providence, as if it was suppressing the providence of the entire human race. At this moment, all the humans felt the same way, bowing and shouting, "Greetings, Zhao Emperor! Greetings, Emperor Qin!" The voices of the people reached the heavens. At this moment, not only was the eastern continent shocked, even the other three great continents were affected. The powerhouses of the various races raised their heads and looked in the direction of the eastern continent, as well as the surging river of providence in the human territory. The heaven list and the imperial jade seal's shadow. At this moment, it was being displayed within. What happened? Why is there such a change? The human race is so prosperous. Are we really going to regain our ancient glory? Qin Shi Huang. Zhao Huang. Regarding the changes of the human race, the experts of all the races were shocked beyond words. The voices of all living beings of the human race. It even spread beyond the human territory. Who was the Qin Emperor? Who was Zhao Emperor? Many experts were puzzled when they heard these two names, but they quickly came to their senses. Demon race mystic realm. The demon emperor, who was in seclusion, suddenly came out of seclusion. Looking at the surging fortune of the human race, his face was as gloomy as water. Zhao Huang. How could he not know who Emperor Zhao was? However, what the demon emperor didn't expect was, the human sovereign was so bold that he was willing to rule the human race with Qin Shujian. Originally, what the human race did had nothing to do with the demon race. But for some reason, the demon emperor suddenly felt offended. What surprised him even more was that the human race's providence was so vast that even the demon race's providence paled in comparison. A centipede dies but never falls down. If we don't get rid of it, there will be endless trouble in the future. The demon emperor's face darkened. He knew about what had happened to Qin Shujian. Even the name of Emperor Qin had been pushed by the demons in the dark. Gradually, they wanted to make this matter bigger and make the human emperor wary, which would eventually cause the human race to break apart. In the end, but the human emperor's way of doing things turned the tables on him. Not only did the human race not split up, but their fortunes had also become even more prosperous. Zhao Emperor. Compared to the original title of human emperor, strictly speaking, the other party's status had been downgraded. It was very simple. If he became the human sovereign, he would be the only supreme ruler of the human race. That was the only way. Only then could they be named after their race. This was the case for the monster emperor of the Yao clan and the deity emperor of the Shun clan. If there were multiple sovereigns in one race, in that case, although these sovereigns were still human sovereigns, they could no longer call themselves human sovereigns, because the sovereigns were not the only ones. As a result, the human sovereign would be downgraded and called Zhao Emperor. Downgraded directly. It meant that the fate of the human race was no longer completely under their control. Such boldness. It made the demon emperor both angry and powerless. If it were him, he would never be able to do this. The demon clan. They could only have one sovereign. At this moment, not only the demon clan's secret realm, but even the sovereigns of the god clan, Blood Eldar, Ancient Buddha clan, and other top clans were alarmed by the changes in the human race. The ancient Buddha emperor's face was even uglier than the demon emperor's. Qin, Emperor. The stone man's face was ferocious as he gritted his teeth. After becoming an emperor, Qin Shujian's strength would definitely be stronger. It would not be easy for him to kill the other party. The ancient Buddha Emperor had also received the news. Qin Shujian had fought with Bloodling Huang not long ago. In the end, the two of them retreated without a winner or loser. This news, he firmly believed it. If Bloodling Huang could kill Qin Shujian, then the other party would definitely not retreat. The Blood Eldar was also a firm faction that wanted to destroy the human race. If there was a chance to weaken the human race, he would definitely not let it go. However, Bloodling Huang retreated. This proved that his strength was not enough to kill Qin Shujian. For this, the ancient Buddha Emperor felt even more pressure. On the path of the rule of power, he had already secretly killed all the cultivators who walked on the rule of power and might pose a threat to him. The ancient Buddha Emperor originally thought he was confident that he would achieve the Tao. In the end, however, there was a variable like Qin Shujian. After a long time, the ancient Buddha Emperor finally calmed down the anger in his heart. The change in the human race was something he did not expect. But now that the ship had been sailed, there was no point in saying anything more. I can only recover from my injuries and then take advantage of the fact that Qin Shujian has not fully grown to master the rule of power. As long as I can achieve the Tao, all the problems can be solved. The ancient Buddha Emperor closed his eyes again. What he meant by not fully grown was that he could still suppress the other party for now. If the time came when he could no longer suppress the other party, then it would be really troublesome. Walking on the same path of the rule of power, the two were destined to have a battle. It was unavoidable. In the secret realm of the God race, the divine emperor, who was in seclusion, was also awakened by the change in the human race. However, the divine emperor did not come out of seclusion. After passing the order to increase the suppression of the human race, he immediately went into seclusion. The more changes in the human race, for the God race, the more troublesome it was. The rise of the human race, they could not destroy the monster race or other races, but they would never let the God race go. Because the divine emperor knew, for traitors, the human race hated them very much. Although he did not think the God race was a traitor, they had broken away from the human race after all. Just like how the God race wanted to annex the human race would not tolerate the existence of the God race. Emperor Qin, Emperor Zhao. Black Crow Taoist beheaded a monster race, celestial being in front of him with a sword. Then he looked in the direction of the eastern continent, his face full of shock. He knew that Qin Shujian's ascension to the throne would definitely cause a great change in the human race. So, that was why Black Crow Taoist risked defending Qin Shujian to pass the news to him. The purpose of this was so that he could be prepared. After all, any expert who wanted to kill the monster race was an ally in Black Crow Taoist's eyes. Such an ally. How could he let the other party die so easily? At least, it would not be too late to let the monster race die after they paid a sufficient price. Black Crow Taoist believed. As long as he warned in advance, with Qin Shujian's means, he should not fall into the human emperor's trap. But now the change in the human race shocked Black Crow Taoist. Not only did the human emperor not attack Qin Shujian, but he also recognized Qin Shujian's position. Not only that, he also demoted from human emperor to Emperor Zhao. In this way, even if he and Qin Shujian ruled the human race together, he would no longer be the sole ruler. Good courage. Black Crow Taoist took a deep breath and immediately said with emotion, looking at the 4 continents, among the innumerable races and forces, there was no emperor of any race who could have the courage of the human emperor to enjoy the luck of a race alone. The benefits were unimaginable. Only the emperors of those races could firmly control their emperors' positions. Every time the emperors changed, it would be accompanied by the outbreak of a great war and a bloody storm. Only the human emperor had such courage and was willing to demote his position. At this moment, Black Crow Taoist was already certain that as long as the human race was stable for 1,000 years, it would definitely usher in a great prosperity. There was no other reason. It was purely because the human race had a figure like the human emperor. Monster Emperor, you are not as good as the human emperor. Not only is your strength inferior, but also your courage inferior. You still want to become an immortal, wishful thinking. Black Crow Taoist withdrew his gaze from the East continent and immediately looked at the monster race. In his eyes, it was full of killing intent. There was one thing he did not tell Qin Shujian. That was that the supreme powerhouse of the monster race that died in the past was from the Black Crow clan. And after that supreme powerhouse died, some powerhouses of the Black Crow clan found out something and found the traces of the Monster Emperor's activities. Before the powerhouse of the Black Crow clan could reveal this matter, the Monster Emperor uprooted the entire Black Crow clan on a groundless charge. The other powerhouses of the monster race watched coldly from the sidelines. If the supreme powerhouse of the Black Crow clan was still there, then there would be powerhouses who would stand up to the Monster Emperor because of his tyranny. But that supreme powerhouse had already died. For a fallen powerhouse, no one would offend the Monster Emperor because of this. So, the Black Crow clan was destroyed, and it was destroyed very quickly. In just a few days, the Black Crow clan, which was considered a large clan in the monster race, had all their powerhouses fallen, and all their clansmen in the monster race's secret realm were killed. Not only that, even the Black Crow clan members who were training outside were hunted down by the monster race. Only Black Crow Taoist had some means to survive until now. At this time, the change in the human race, Black Crow Taoist saw the hope of the monster race's destruction. Boom! The void shattered, and 3 powerhouses of the monster race stepped out from the void. But just as they walked out, they saw Black Crow Taoist leaving on his sword. His speed was so fast. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Damn it! He escaped again. A monster race powerhouse's face was gloomy, looking at the celestial corpse that fell to the ground, his heart surging with great anger. Another one. Including this fallen celestial, no less than 5 celestials of the monster race had been killed by Black Crow Taoist. The fall of the Dark Flood Dragon last time. It had already made the powerhouses of the dragons angry. For this, the monster race sent out many powerhouses to hunt him down. Unfortunately, the Black Crow clan was extremely fast and could be considered one of the best in the monster race. In addition, Black Crow Taoist was alone and had no weaknesses. As a result, the pursuit of the monster race powerhouses had not made much progress. Not only that, Black Crow Taoist also took this opportunity to kill other celestials of the monster race. At this moment, another monster race powerhouse said coldly, "Continue to chase. I want to see how he can escape." In addition, inform the other powerhouses to join forces to encircle and suppress him. I want to make him have no way out. The Black Crow clan is too fast. It's not easy to surround and kill him, and the power of the spirit sword in his hand is unparalleled. Ordinary powerhouses can't contend with it at all. As long as we block him and set up the array, he can't escape. As for a mere divine weapon, what can it do? Chase. After a simple communication, several monster race powerhouses immediately chased in the direction of Black Crow Taoist's escape. Although the other party's speed was fast, but his aura did not dissipate so quickly. If they wanted to chase, they could still catch up. The Eastern Continent. The human race. At this moment, the human race's destiny was vast. Qin Shujian held the heaven list in his hand, and a sense of enlightenment surged in his heart. At that moment, he found that the destiny of the Eastern Continent's cultivation world was already under his control. The vision did not last long. It had already slowly faded away. The human emperor put away the imperial jade seal, looked at Qin Shujian, and said, "Congratulations to you for ruling the cultivation world, Emperor Qin. I wonder if you want to build a palace now. If you need, the imperial court can also help." An emperor. Of course, he should have his own palace. Qin Shujian said with a smile, "Thank you for your concern, Emperor Zhao. Ben Huang can deal with this matter by himself." Building a palace should indeed be considered. But as the Emperor Qin, it would be a bit embarrassing if he needed the help of others to build a palace. Therefore, Qin Shujian refused directly. "Emperor Qin, since you already have an idea, Ben Huang will not force you. I'll leave first after this matter is over. If you have time in the future, you and I can have a chat in the imperial city of Zhongzhou State." "Okay." Qin Shujian nodded slightly. At this moment, a carriage broke through the air, and the ones pulling the carriage were 2 Kylin with golden red scales and a height of more than 100 feet. Each Kylin exuded a powerful aura. Then, The human emperor flew into the air and landed on the carriage. The next moment, the Kylan pulled the carriage and left through the void. At this scene, Qin Shujian's eyes turned red. Kylan pulling the carriage. These two Kylan can break through the space. They are at least at the 4th level of the celestial being. Sacred Kylan pulling the carriage is really low-key and luxurious. They were both human emperors. Emperor Zhao could use 2 sacred Kylan to pull the carriage, but he, the Emperor Qin, still had to rely on himself to walk. The gap was immediately apparent. Qin Shujian thought for a moment. What kind of powerful demon clan could he use to pull the carriage? He was the first one. He thought of Sage Fire and the others. But soon, Qin Shujian gave up this plan. Sage Fire and the others were mighty figures at the 8th level of the celestial being, and he was only at the 5th level of the celestial being. It was disgusting to use such strong people to pull the carriage. At least, it would be more comfortable to pull the carriage with the 8th level of the celestial being when he reached the Nirvana realm. Not considering Sage Fire and the others, then the next level would be Nyodali. All of a sudden, Qin Shujian shuddered. A green ox pulling the carriage. An ox carriage. Emperor Zhao used a Kylan to pull the carriage, while he used a green ox to pull the carriage. Moreover, it was a green ox in the god martial arts realm. He felt that he could not afford to lose face. In the demon ox cave on the lion-tiger plain, a certain green ox shuddered, and then it opened its bell-sized eyes to look around suspiciously. When it did not discover anything unusual, it closed its eyes again. At this moment, after the strange phenomenon disappeared, the humans of the eastern continent were also speechless for a long time. Emperor Qin. In the Traceless sect, Banqing pulled off his beard, but he still did not notice anything. The current him. He was still completely immersed in the scene just now. Things had changed too quickly. It was so fast that Banqing did not expect it. He had become an emperor. He had become an emperor just like that. His eyes were full of confusion, and then he quickly came to his senses. His excitement made his face tremble. I've made a fortune. I've made a fortune. Now that Qin Shujian had become an emperor, the Origin sect would definitely soar and become the #1 holy land in the cultivation world. As an ally of the Origin sect, if the Traceless sect could get a little bit of glory, it would be enough for them. In the past, Banqing thought that after he broke through to the celestial being realm, he could make the strength of the Traceless sect rise sharply. But after opening up the 3 continents, only then did he suddenly realize. The celestial being realm. It seemed to be useless. At most, he was a little stronger, but he was not qualified to affect the situation at all. Not to mention the celestial being realm, it was the same even for the saint realm. Those who could really have the right to speak were at least mighty figures above the 7th level of the celestial being realm. And the ones who could really decide fate were the strongest in the Nirvana realm. The 1st level of the celestial being realm. That was just a slightly bigger ant. The cultivation world seemed to be huge, but its strength was extremely weak. Not to mention anything else. If the imperial court wanted to deal with the cultivation world, it would be enough to exterminate all the strong figures with a breath. But it was different now. There was one more Emperor Qin in the human race, one who ruled the cultivation world. As a result, the strength of the cultivation world rose sharply. It was not completely comparable to the imperial court, but it was definitely not too far away. Supreme Elder, what should the Traceless sect do now? Jing Bianyun of the sect was also in a daze now. As the head of the Traceless sect, he was connected to the fate of the sect. Just now, when Qin Shujian collected the fate of the sects in the world, Jing Bianyun received the feedback of the way of heaven. From now on, the cultivation world was no longer in a state of disunity. All the sects had a common ruler, Emperor Qin. This was the feedback of the way of heaven, and no one could disobey it. At this moment, Jing Bianyun felt that his position as the head of the sect did not seem so good anymore. There was one more big boss above him. Not everyone would like it. Banqing glanced at him and said lightly, "What else can we do?" Emperor Qin is now ruling the cultivation world. Even Emperor Zhao and the fate of the human race have recognized his position. The Traceless sect is weak. What else can we do except obey? Don't think too highly of yourself. In such a big cultivation world, How many celestial beings are there now? How many saints and mighty figures are there? None. The strength of the cultivation world is too weak. It is so weak that it will be destroyed by the foreign races if it leaves the East continent and the territory of the human race. With such strength, what else do you want to do? Do you really think that Emperor Qin is a pushover? If you annoy him, all the sects will not have a good end. Yin Banqing's words were very cold. At least when Jing Bianyun heard it, his heart trembled. Does he want to be the enemy of the entire cultivation world? You think too much. Yin Banqing smiled disdainfully. Why does he need to be the enemy of the entire cultivation world? As long as he kills all of you who refuse to submit, the rest will naturally be willing to submit. No ruler would be truly merciful. The birth and fall of every ruler would be accompanied by a rain of blood and a foul wind. I advise you to put away the thoughts in your heart that you shouldn't have. If you insist on going your own way, it will only cause the Traceless sect to fall into eternal damnation. At that time, I will personally clean up the sect and not let the 1,000-year foundation of the Traceless sect be destroyed. In the end, a faint killing intent emerged from Yin Banqing. Jing Bianyun's face turned pale. Yin Banqing's words were very straightforward. If he dared to disobey Qin Shujian, this Grand Elder would take his head to apologize to Sky Origin even without Yuanzong's help. All of a sudden, Jing Bianyun found that many things were different from what he had imagined. Yin Banqing looked at him with an exasperated look, shook his head and said, "You've been in the Baiyun mansion for too long. You've been looking at the sky from the bottom of a well. If you have time, you'd better go to the 3 continents. The power of Emperor Qin is beyond your imagination. The peak stage of the divine martial arts realm and the celestial beings are just non-entities." Jing Bianyun was a non-entity. Yin Banqing was also a non-entity. The entire cultivation world was a non-entity in front of Qin Shujian. If one didn't reach that level, it was impossible to understand how terrifying that level was. Yin Banqing didn't know much about it himself, but he could see a trace of it from the process of looking up. Jing Bianyun's expression kept changing. After a long time, he recovered, but his face was still pale. "You're right, Grand Elder. I was too reckless." "Fine. You come with me to the Liang Mountain spiritual domain and pay a visit to Emperor Qin." Yin Banqing didn't mean to scold him. No matter what, Jing Bianyun was still the sect master. It was enough for him to scold him as the Grand Elder. If he really wanted to scold him, it would also embarrass him. To be honest, Yin Banqing was quite optimistic about Jing Bianyun. After him, this sect master was the last one who had the hope of breaking through to the celestial being realm. Fallen Moon Mansion, Heavenly Array Sect. Fang Xinglan was also speechless for a long time after hearing the news. Mu Liang was sitting opposite him with a strange expression. "Uncle Master, I've received feedback from the Way of Heaven. Qin Shu and Emperor Qin are now ruling the entire cultivation world. This is something that the human clan has recognized. What should we do now?" He didn't have any opinions. After Fang Xinglan broke through, most of the things were decided by this Uncle Master. Hearing this, Fang Xinglan came back to his senses, and a strange expression appeared on his handsome face. He immediately shook his head and said, "What else can we do? The Emperor Qin is ruling the cultivation world, and this is something that no one can change. While we still have some friendship with the Sky Origin sect, let's go and pay a visit. I only hope that Emperor Qin still remembers our Heavenly Array sect. That's enough. I'll go and prepare now." Mu Liang nodded. He wasn't dissatisfied with Qin Shujian's title of emperor and ruling the entire cultivation world. To be precise, he didn't dare to have any dissatisfaction. What a joke. There was no one in the world of cultivators who could resist Qin Shujian. The title of Emperor Qin was not given by him. That was the recognition of the human emperor. The human clan's fate also recognized this title. From that moment on, the cultivation world evolved into another imperial court. The Emperor Qin ruled the world, and all the sects were like his subjects. At this moment, the top sects of the cultivation world were all shocked. After that, they all sent people to the Liang Mountain spirit region to meet the Qin Emperor. The cultivation world was shocked. The Liang Mountain spirit region was also shocked. The entire Sky Origin sect fell into silence. Emperor Qin. Their sect called itself Emperor. Whether it was the main sect or the branch sects, they all fell into silence. After a long time, a disciple said slowly, "Then should we call him Sect Master or Emperor Qin in the future?" As soon as he finished speaking, the silence was instantly broken. Damn, Emperor Qin. The sect master called himself Emperor. That long river just now is the human clan's Fate River, right? It's the first time I've seen it. It's so King spectacular. By the way, why did I know it was the Fate River when I saw it for the first time? That shadow just now, is it the Heaven List? It looks very familiar. Emperor Qin. The sect master called himself Emperor. Then wouldn't our Sky Origin sect become the holy land of the entire cultivation world? If that's the case, we're no different from the great Zhao imperial family. All the disciples were discussing intensely. Everyone's face was filled with excitement. Emperor Qin. Their sect master called himself Emperor. At this moment, they were more excited than anyone else. Everyone could understand that with their sect master calling himself Emperor, the Sky Origin sect's status would definitely reach a transcendent level. When that time comes, as disciples of the Sky Origin sect, they would naturally enjoy many benefits. The local disciples were excited. The players were also excited. There was no other reason. When Qin Shujian called himself Emperor, they could be said to be the Emperor Qin's disciples when they walked out in the future. When that time comes, accepting and completing missions would be much easier than before. This was the most direct benefit. Emperor Qin. Songhong was absent-minded. He vaguely remembered. When he was still the lord of Chaotic Gold Mountain, he was subdued by Qin Shujian and joined the Cold Mountain Stronghold. At that time, the Cold Mountain Stronghold, it was still an insignificant stronghold. It seemed to be very strong, but in fact, it could only act like a tyrant in the ordinary realm. The strongest person had not even reached the real martial arts realm. He did not know when it started. He seemed to have changed from a small bandit leader of Ruwar Mountain to a cultivator with one foot in the god martial arts realm. Everything was changing silently. He had forgotten many things. But when Qin Shujian called himself Emperor, Songhong suddenly realized that everything was different. Their sect master called himself Emperor. That proved that their Sky Origin sect was no longer the original Cold Mountain Stronghold, the bandits that everyone hated. If the Sky Origin sect was just a layer of skin over it, then the moment Qin Shujian called himself Emperor, everything was different. Songhong was laughing. As he laughed and laughed, his tears flowed down. Emperor Qin. God bless the Sky Origin sect. God bless the human race. Songhong suddenly raised his arm and shouted, covering all the voices of the celestial beings. Immediately after a short silence, the disciples of the Sky Origin sect made a shocking sound. God bless the Sky Origin sect. God bless the human race. God bless the Sky Origin sect. God bless the human race. It was not just the Sky Origin sect. At this moment, the other branches were also boiling with excitement. In the main sect, Su Yuaming felt something and looked at the sky. The sky was still the same. In his eyes, it was completely different. He called himself Emperor. Everything is different now. A smile appeared on Su Yuanming's face. Different. From this moment on, everything was different. For the other disciples of the sect, Qin Shujian's ascension to the throne was a joyous occasion. But for them who had followed the Sky Origin sect, Qin Shujian called himself Emperor. It was a metamorphosis, a true metamorphosis. In the drill hall, Zhang Fong looked into the distance, a gratified smile appearing on his wrinkled face. God bless the Sky Origin sect. God bless the human race. Immediately after, a mysterious fluctuation surged from his body. Not long after, Zhang Fong's body shook slightly, and a powerful aura spread out from his body. I broke through. Looking at his palm that seemed to be younger, the smile on his face became even more obvious. At the same time, in the main sect, powerful auras rose one after another. Sky Origin sect Elder Jingfong has an epiphany, breaking through to the first level of the divine martial realm. Sky Origin sect Elder Niufeng has an epiphany, breaking through to the first level of the divine martial realm. Sky Origin Sect Elder Zhenghong has an epiphany, breaking through to the first level of the divine martial realm. Sky Origin Sect. Qin Shujian, who was originally rushing back, paused slightly at this moment. Looking at the system notification, his expression was a little strange. They broke through. Why did it seem like they were on drugs? In the past, they were all half dead and couldn't break through without a few years. But now, they all broke through together. Just a few breaths ago, there were more than 10 names on the Divine Martial Realm list. This proved that Sky Origin Sect just had more than 10 Divine Martial Realm cultivators. Regarding this, Qin Shujian was also puzzled. Although he was called an emperor, other than being able to mobilize the luck of all the sects in the world, he didn't have any other benefits, nor did he have any strange phenomena such as the 3 flowers at once prominence and the 5 Qis convergence. There was also no situation where the spirit Qi in the world was all in the Sky Origin Sect. Even Sky Origin Sect's luck didn't increase at all. In this case, how did they break through? Qin Shujian was confused. Soon, he shook his head and got rid of this confusion. No matter what the reason is, it's a good thing that they broke through. Since I'm called an emperor, Sky Origin Sect has more than 10 divine martial realm cultivators. In this case, it can barely be considered a double blessing. Then, Qin Shujian associated this matter with Emperor Zhao again. Since returning to the Eastern continent, many things had happened that he didn't expect. He inexplicably became an emperor. Sky Origin Sect had more than 10 divine martial realm cultivators. Qin Shujian thought of many possibilities, but he didn't expect the human emperor to admit his existence so easily. This matter, Qin Shujian really couldn't figure it out. If he were the Zhao emperor, he probably wouldn't have been so bold. After all, how could he allow others to sleep beside him? No one would like to have an expert who could threaten his position. He couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure it out at all. At this point, Qin Shujian could only admire Emperor Zhao's magnanimity. Senior, did you predict that Emperor Zhao would do this? He thought of Godslayer, who hadn't spoken for a long time in his sea of consciousness. Godslayer was a talkative person. It didn't make sense for him to be silent for so long. This time, he didn't speak for a long time, which made Qin Shujian wonder if he had expected this. Hearing this, the stone saber in his sea of consciousness finally moved. A little, but I didn't expect him to be so straightforward. I always thought that the path he took was the path of an emperor, which was domineering and unparalleled. But now it seems that I underestimated him. He didn't take the path of an emperor. He took the path of the human clan. The human emperors of the past all took the path of an emperor, which was domineering and unparalleled, or the path of a benevolent person who cared about the world. But Emperor Zhao is different. He took the path of the human clan. He was a pioneer who was truly willing to carry the burden for the human clan. Those who walk on this path, no matter what their cultivation is, are worthy of respect. Respect. This was the first time Qin Shujian had heard those words from the god-slaying saber. This stone saber had always been proud and arrogant. It had a disdainful attitude toward many things. But only this time, Qin Shujian could tell from the god-slaying saber's words that he respected Zhao Emperor. The human clan. The path of the human clan. Qin Shujian recalled everything that the human emperor had done. He seemed to have considered the entire human clan from the beginning to the end. I can tell you with certainty that if the great tribulation of the demon abyss doesn't happen in a few hundred years, and if Emperor Zhao doesn't die halfway, the human clan will definitely be able to restore the glory of the ancient times under his leadership, Godslayer said in a deep voice. Qin Shujian's face was solemn. Senior, you have such a high opinion of Emperor Zhao? Yes, Godslayer said. I'm not sure how high you will grow in the future, but you are indeed inferior to Emperor Zhao now. In this regard, Qin Shujian was silent. Was he inferior to Emperor Zhao? Looking at it now, it was indeed a little lacking. However, Qin Shujian didn't care. He still had a lot of time. One day, he would grow to a level that was not inferior to Emperor Zhao, or even surpass him. Senior, do you think Emperor Zhao can break through and become an immortal before his lifespan ends? Qin Shujian changed the topic. He didn't continue to discuss who was stronger between him and Emperor Zhao. That would only make him feel uncomfortable. Compared to this point, Qin Shujian was more concerned about whether Emperor Zhao had a chance to break through and become an immortal. After all, Emperor Zhao didn't have much lifespan left. The first few times were fine. After this time, Qin Shujian found that the aura of Emperor Zhao was very serious. It was as if he would reach the end of his lifespan at any time. Thus, Emperor Zhao didn't have much lifespan left. If he really died, then the human clan would have to rely on himself to support it. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian suddenly woke up with a start. Did Emperor Zhao ask him to become Emperor Zhao because of this? He was worried that he couldn't break through and become an immortal. Then, he would find a successor in advance to prevent the human clan from falling into chaos after he died. The more he thought about it, Qin Shujian felt that it was more likely. As for why Emperor Zhao didn't choose Shiyang, it was very simple. Shiyang was too weak to hold up the banner of the human clan. It was just as Godslayer said. Emperor Zhao walked the path of the human clan. Everything he did was to ensure that the legacy of the human race would not be extinguished and that the torch would be passed on. Godslayer said, "It's hard to guess how high the probability of becoming an immortal is. But if I'm not wrong, Emperor Zhao is already on the verge of a breakthrough. But it's hard to say how long it will take to cross the edge. He might be able to break through tomorrow, or he might still be in the same place after 100 years. But it would be a pity if such a person died because of the end of his lifespan." As for Emperor Zhao, Godslayer really admired him. Such a person should be the emperor of the human clan. Only such a person would be able to lead the human race to a new height when it was at its weakest. Hearing this, Qin Shujian was originally in a good mood, but now, his mood was somewhat heavy. But soon, this heavy feeling was suppressed by him. It was useless to worry. It was better to become stronger. In that case, even if Emperor Zhao died, he would be able to protect the human clan. P.S. The Emperor Zhao character card you want is open. Go and give it a heart. Chapter 616. Qin Shujian didn't use the teleportation gate. From the original hinterland of the Demon Clan to the Liangshan Spirit Domain, there was more than one big mansion between them. Even with his speed, it was not possible to cross such a long distance in a short time. When Qin Shujian returned to Yuan's sect, the elders of all the branches had all gathered here. In Chengwu Hall, Qin Shujian sat on the main seat. All the elders stood up and bowed. "Greetings, Emperor Qin." They didn't address him as sect master, because compared to the title of sect master, Emperor Qin was a more honorific title. Regarding this, Qin Shujian said lightly, "Elders, please sit down." "Thank you, Emperor Qin." Many elders sat down again. Everyone's face was filled with uncontrollable excitement. It was different from what they had seen before. Now when these elders saw Qin Shujian, they felt a terrible pressure, forcing them to look away and not dare to look at him. This pressure, it was not Qin Shujian's own pressure. It was the pressure given by the destiny of the human clan after he became emperor. I don't think Bin Huang needs to say more about what happened before. You all know. Looking at everyone, Qin Shujian's expression was calm. Hearing this, Zhang Fang cupped his hands and said, "It is a great honor for us to have Emperor Qin become emperor. This is a blessing for Yuan sect and the human clan." The other elders also nodded in agreement. They were honored. When Qin Shujian became emperor, they were even more excited than the people involved. Qin Shujian said, "Now that Emperor Zhao is in charge of the imperial court and Bin Huang is in charge of the cultivation world, it is no longer appropriate for Yuan sect to exist in the form of a sect. Therefore, Bin Huang has decided that from today onwards, Yuan sect will be renamed Qinyuan Sacred Ground. All the sects in the world respect the sacred ground." Qinyuan Sacred Ground. Everyone was shocked. Although they had guessed it a long time ago, when it really happened, they still couldn't help but be shocked. In other words, from this moment on, Yuanzong was no longer Yuanzong, but Qinyuan Sacred Ground, a sacred ground that was above all other sections. In addition, after the establishment of the Qinyuan Sacred Ground, all elders above the God Martial Realm can become elders of the sacred ground. Qin Shujian made another announcement. Zheng Hong cupped his hands and said, "Dare I ask the Qin Emperor, If the other members of the sect are all incorporated into the Holy Land, what about us? Yuan's sect was changed to Qianyuan's sacred ground. In that case, the original main sect system would have to change a lot. There were a lot of things involved. Songhong was not the only one who was puzzled. The other elders were also very concerned about this. Hearing this, Qin Shujian said calmly, Bin Huang already has a plan, but now is not the time to implement it. In addition, don't disclose anything about the Qianyuan sacred ground for the time being. 1 month later, Bin Huang will open up the Holy Land secret territory. Apart from that, there is one more thing that I need you to do, and that is to build the Renhuang Palace. The construction of the human emperor's palace. When the others heard this, they couldn't help but look at each other. Regarding this matter, they weren't too surprised. Their sect master had already become the emperor, so it was natural for him to build the Renhuang Palace. After all, Emperor Zhao was sitting in the imperial city. How could the Qin emperor not have the Renhuang Palace? Subsequently, Qin Shujian said, the matter of collecting materials will be left to the first elder. Yes, Qin emperor. In the next month, if anyone from the sect comes to see me, tell them that I have made a breakthrough in my cultivation and that it is temporarily inconvenient for me to see guests. Yes, you can all leave. We will take our leave. In Chengwu Hall, many elders bowed and left. Qin Shujian sat alone in the main seat. After rubbing his eyebrows, he couldn't hide the smile on his face. This time, he had made a lot of money. Originally, he hadn't noticed how many benefits there were to becoming the Qin emperor. But now, Qin Shujian saw it. In less than half a day, his life force source had soared to nearly 1 billion. This increase, it was 10 or 20 times faster than before. Such a change. Qin Shujian only needed to think for a moment before he understood the reason. After he became the emperor, he had already controlled the entire cultivation world. This was not a verbal control. It was a control recognized by the luck of the human clan. In other words, Qin Shujian was no longer simply the leader of a sect. The entire world of cultivators was actually considered to be under his control. Therefore, that was why his vitality grew so fast, because it was no longer a single Yuan sect disciple who provided him with vitality, but all the cultivators in the cultivation world. In less than half a day, it has increased by 1 billion. In a day, it will be at least 2 billion. In a month, even if I lie down and don't move, there will be 70 to 80 billion vitality. In a year, there will be about 1 trillion vitality. After seriously calculating, Qin Shujian's fingers couldn't help but tremble. 1 trillion. That was the source of 1 trillion life forms. If it was in the past, it would take at least 10 to 20 years to gather so much life force. But now, 1 year was enough. No, it's not just 1 trillion. Now that the human clan has just gone through a great war, a large number of top cultivators in the cultivation world have died, and a lot of other cultivators have also died. It can be said that the strength of the cultivation world has fallen to a freezing point. But given a little time, with the huge population base of the cultivation world, powerful cultivators will definitely be born one after another. At that time, the life source provided to me by the entire cultivation world will definitely increase by several times. Qin Shujian suddenly realized. What he lacked seemed to be time. As long as he had enough time, the human clan cultivation world would be able to produce enough powerhouses. When that time came, if he wanted to upgrade the Guiyuan ancestral canon to perfection, it would be as simple as eating and drinking. Even if the human clan stopped moving forward. With the current speed of harvesting vitality, Qin Shujian felt that in a few decades, it should be enough to upgrade the Guiyuan ancestral canon to perfection. The Guiyuan ancestral canon was upgraded to perfection. 129,600 acupoints were opened. At that time, Qin Shujian believed that he could truly achieve the level of a celestial being to go against a perfected immortal. But what I have to do next is to improve my foundation as much as possible. The stronger the foundation, the greater the increase in the breakthrough. He soon thought of the corpse of the perfected immortal in the void turbulence. If it was possible, if he refined that perfected immortal and obtained the legacy of that perfected immortal, it should be able to increase his foundation by a lot. At this moment, In the Sea of Consciousness, the Godslayer looked at Qin Shujian with a silly smile. He almost thought that the newly promoted Qin Emperor was so surprised that he lost his mind. But thinking about it, something was wrong. If he really lost his mind because of the surprise, he would have lost his mind long ago. Why would he wait until now? It couldn't be. It was because the other party was slow to react. Senior, with my current strength, do I have a chance to obtain the corpse of that perfected immortal? Qin Shujian's words interrupted the Godslayer's guess. Hearing this, the Godslayer pondered for a moment. Although your realm is still at the 5th tier of the celestial being realm, in terms of strength, you are no weaker than a Nirvana realm cultivator. And your understanding of the laws has also reached a very deep level. It is possible for you to enter the void turbulence with such strength. But still, it would be best if you could improve your physique a little more. It would be best if you could cross the void turbulence. Improve my physique? Qin Shujian nodded thoughtfully. Then he looked at his life source and the 9 tribulations immortal body that had been upgraded to the 7th tribulation. There was nothing to think about. He only saw that 20 billion life source had been consumed, and the 9 tribulations immortal body had been upgraded to the 8th tribulation. Buzz. His physical body had been upgraded to the 8th tribulation. Qin Shujian's physical body flashed with a faint silver-white luster, and his skin quickly returned to normal. Then, more than 50 billion life source had been consumed, and the 9 tribulations immortal body had been upgraded to the 9th tribulation. Boom! A terrifying aura erupted from Qin Shujian's body. The surrounding void silently collapsed. However, the moment the void collapsed, it condensed again, as if time and space had stopped. Suppressing the void with his physical body, the Godslayer was stunned. What was going on? How did the other party's physical body become so strong that it could suppress the void all of a sudden? If Qin Shujian was so strong, there was no way he wouldn't know. Could it be that he had been hiding his strength all this time, and even he hadn't noticed? The Godslayer fell into self-doubt. At this moment, Qin Shujian felt that his physical body had reached an unprecedented height. As the 9 tribulations immortal body had been upgraded to perfection, a terrifying aura nourished his body, wanting to forcibly open the other apertures. Seeing this, he immediately suppressed this aura, then turned it into energy to nourish the apertures that had already been opened. Boom! His physical body shook and roared. In the sky above Mount Liang, a phantom surrounded by lightning suddenly appeared, standing proudly in the sky. When everyone looked over, Yizichen looked over. The illusory figure slowly disappeared. This unforeseen event, the people in the main sect weren't too shocked. That was because they knew that the only person capable of causing such a commotion was the Qin Emperor. With the means of an emperor, it was natural for him to cause such a disturbance. After a long time, Qin Shujian finally used up all this aura. He stood up from his seat and moved his body. A wisp of aura leaked out, turning all the tables and chairs around into dust. If they hadn't discovered it in time, the huge inherited martial hall would have been turned into dust. Senior, with my current physical body, I should be able to cross the void turbulence, right? It's fine. The Godslayer came back to his senses and hurriedly replied. Until now, he couldn't figure out how Qin Shujian had done it. All of a sudden, he had reached the point where his physical body could suppress the void. The strength of his physical body had reached an extremely terrifying level. In the ancient times, among the experts who hadn't reached Tao, there were very few who could have such a physical body. Although the Godslayer was Zhu Bing, but no matter how experienced and knowledgeable he was, he couldn't understand the existence of the source of life, let alone the joy of cheating. However, the Godslayer didn't understand. Qin Shujian had a deep understanding. Looking at the source of life that had fallen to less than 20 billion, he wasn't afraid at all. With the current rate of increase of the source of life, it wouldn't take many days to replenish all the consumption. Immediately afterward, Qin Shujian took out the heaven list again and checked his attributes. He found out now, looking at the attributes on the heaven list was much better than looking at them with the system, because the combat strength displayed on the heaven list was more detailed. Even if he didn't break through his realm, if his strength changed, his combat strength would change accordingly. Therefore, Qin Shujian preferred to look at the heaven list now. In this way, he could feel that his strength was improving every moment, and it wouldn't affect his state of mind because he hadn't broken through his realm for a long time. Of course, even if he couldn't break through in the next few years, Qin Shujian's state of mind wouldn't change much. After all, he was only 31 years old. Compared to the lifespan of a celestial being of 7,000 years, 31 years old could be said to be too young. However, the heaven list was also very useful to others. But there weren't many who could show their combat strength now. Not many people knew about this function for the time being. When there were more celestials on the heaven list in the future, then this function would be highlighted. Players can see their own attributes, and maybe there's an experience bar or something. So if the natives can see the changes in their combat strength, it's quite beneficial for their cultivation. Qin Shujian said to himself. Looking at the heaven list in his hand, he already had a plan in his heart. Since he was now in charge of the cultivation world, then he would do something big. Let's wait a little longer. We'll wait until the secret realm is successfully opened and the human emperor's palace is built. Naturally, he couldn't be careless in building the human emperor's palace. At least, the materials needed wouldn't be less than the materials needed to build Cold Mountain City. After many times of consumption, Yuanzong already had a lot of materials in hand, but Yuanzong didn't. The other sects had a lot of materials in their hands. Thinking in his heart, Qin Shujian had already quietly left the main sect and went to the void turbulence. At this moment, the person guarding the entrance of the passage had been replaced by Duan Sun. After seeing Qin Shujian's arrival, Duan Sun's expression froze. Then he bowed and saluted. Greetings, Qin Emperor. His attitude was respectful. There was nothing wrong with it. Qin Shujian said with a faint smile, General Duan, you don't have to be so polite. Thank you, Qin Emperor. Duan Sun straightened up. When he looked at Qin Shujian's eyes, there was already a lot of emotion. Although he had known for a long time, Qin Shujian would grow to a height that he could look up to. But he didn't expect that this day would come so soon. Qin Emperor. He was called Emperor. The human emperor of the Great Zhao was called Emperor Zhao, and Qin Shujian was called Emperor Qin. Both of them were now human emperors of the human clan. The difference was, Emperor Zhao ruled the Great Zhao, and Qin Emperor ruled the cultivation world. Logically speaking, as a subject of the Great Zhao, Duan Sun shouldn't need to salute Qin Shujian. But there was one thing to know. Before Duan Sun became a subject of the Great Zhao, he was still a human. Since he was a human, he had to salute when facing a human emperor. Although Qin Shujian only ruled the cultivation world and didn't have much to do with the imperial court, he was still a human emperor. So, Duan Sun didn't dare to be rude. If he really angered him, Qin Shujian would kill him for disrespect. Emperor Zhao wouldn't say anything, and the others wouldn't dare to object. This was an emperor. He had absolute power over life and death. Qin Emperor, are you here to prepare to enter the 100,000 li territory? Duan Sun said in a low voice. Qin Shujian shook his head. Bin Huang is going to enter the void turbulence this time. If General Duan has something to do, go ahead and do it. You don't have to pay attention to me. The void turbulence. Duan Sun's expression changed. He often guarded here, so how could he not know about the void turbulence? It could be said, if there was any danger in the passage now, then the only danger. It could be that the power to stabilize the space dissipated, so the void turbulence took over that place again. That kind of power, even if he went in with his strength, he would end up with nothing left. Thinking of this, Duan Sun couldn't help but remind him, the void turbulence is very dangerous. If you want to go in, you have to be careful. He was very confident in Qin Shujian's strength, but Duan Sun didn't forget. Last time, the sky-reaching mirror showed that he was in the 5th level of the celestial being realm. A person in the 5th level of the celestial being realm broke into the void turbulence. Even if the other party's battle prowess was exceedingly high, could he really be safe and sound? Duan Sun wasn't sure. Now that the Qin Emperor had just taken the throne, if he died in the void turbulence, it would be a big blow to the human race. So, in his opinion, Qin Shujian shouldn't take the risk. After all, even if a ruler only stayed in the eastern continent and did not move, he could still make people excited and intimidate the other races. Besides, the Qin Emperor's achievements were very shocking. He severely injured Ling Huang and forced him to seal the Earth's spirit's secret realm. He killed Emperor Qiju and forced the Qiju Kite clan to seal the secret realm. He fought Ling Huang in the North Continent, and the result was a tie. Every achievement was shown. It was enough to make all the experts of other races afraid. General Duan, don't worry. Bin Huang has his own plans. Qin Shujian shook his head slightly. He knew Duan Sun's worries. However, since he was already here, how could he go back? Hearing that, Duan Sun had to make way. I hope the Qin Emperor will be careful. Qin Shujian nodded softly, then walked to the border of the void turbulence. Now, the void turbulence still occupied a large area, separating the East continent from the other 3 continents. Emperor Zhao had opened the restriction of heaven and earth. He only opened a hole in the void turbulence for the human race to pass through. The rules of heaven and earth. They also flowed out from the crack, complementing the rules of the 3 continents. It could be said that, now, the 4 continents were not really connected, because the void turbulence had not been settled. The hole that was opened now might be swallowed by the void turbulence again, unless the entire space turbulence had been flattened. The day I become an immortal will be the day the East continent appears. Qin Shujian sighed with emotion with his hands behind his back. Then, he took a step forward. The void vibrated. The originally violent void turbulence suddenly froze after Qin Shujian entered. It even retreated to the left and right, as if it had encountered a terrifying existence. This scene, Duan Sun was dumbfounded. Qin Shujian's words were still echoing in his mind. The day I become an immortal will be the day the East continent appears. Duan Sun originally thought that Qin Shujian was talking about becoming an immortal too early. But now, seeing the other party use his physical body to suppress the void turbulence, he was speechless. Emperor Qin, the heavens bless the human race. Duan Sun could not help but sigh. Qin Shujian strolled leisurely in the void turbulence, as if he was not walking in a dangerous place that even mighty figures would be afraid of. It was more like he was in his own courtyard. This figure, it was deeply engraved in Duan Sun's mind. Originally, Duan Sun planned to send this news back to the imperial court. But now, he hesitated. Leaking the whereabouts of a human emperor without permission would also offend the other party. Perhaps, Emperor Zhao would also punish him because of this. So, Duan Sun gave up on this plan. He decided to stand here and wait for Qin Shujian to come out again. On the other side, before entering the void turbulence, Qin Shujian felt something. After pretending to be cool in front of Duan Sun, he really stepped into this place. It was different from the last time he had to rely on energy to protect his body. This time, the void turbulence did not have a chance to threaten him. His physical body suppressed the void. That was it. The martial arts of the Heavenly Corpse sect seemed to be very powerful in the end. Qin Shujian could not help but think of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Spirit severing, law embodiment of heaven and earth, 9 tribulations immortal body, 3 divine martial arts. When cultivated to a high level, they would have extraordinary power. In comparison, the heavenly cloud god sealing finger that he had integrated seemed a little useless. It was also a perfect martial art. The 9 tribulations immortal body could allow a cultivator's physical body to suppress the void. The performance of the heavenly cloud god sealing finger was really ordinary. Senior, what do you know about divine martial arts? Qin Shujian could not help but ask. In the Sea of Consciousness, Godslayer pondered for a moment and explained, divine martial arts, as the name suggests, are martial arts that have reached the point of communicating with heaven and earth and touching the rules. At this level of martial arts, there is no difference between high and low. Because there is no difference in the rules, martial arts that touch the rules are the same. It is just that the rules that each martial art touches may be different, so to a certain extent, you will feel that there is a difference in strength. But as long as you cultivate yourself to the point of controlling the rules, then all martial arts are actually the same. And as I said before, after becoming a true immortal, you cultivate the rules. At that point, You can directly see the essence of any cultivation method or martial art and thus touch the rules. It is just that it is not easy to touch many rules. So many true immortals only control one rule. Godslayer's explanation was not very clear. However, Qin Shujian understood what he meant. After becoming a true immortal, all cultivation methods and martial arts were useless. No, it was not that they were completely useless. Before becoming an immortal, these cultivation methods and martial arts had built a strong enough foundation for oneself. It was just that after becoming an immortal, true immortals mainly cultivated the rules. Compared to the rules that touched the essence of heaven and earth, all cultivation methods and martial arts were a level lower in front of it. Therefore, even if one used these cultivation methods and martial arts, they would not be very useful. Only the foundation accumulated before becoming an immortal was strong enough. Only after becoming an immortal could one improve one's strength as much as possible. If one wanted to improve after becoming an immortal, it was impossible to increase one's strength through cultivation methods like before becoming an immortal, unless, if one could touch the second rule, then it would be different. But according to Godslayer's words, it was very difficult to touch the second rule, and there were not many true immortals who could do it. In this regard, Qin Shujian also had a deep understanding. He did not forget that the last time he broke into a rule, he was directly destroyed by the other party. From this, it could be seen. How difficult was it to master the second rule? If one did not pay attention, perhaps it would be the end of one's life. Then according to what Senior said, true immortals who have mastered many rules are actually much stronger than other true immortals? Not necessarily. Godslayer hesitated for a moment and said, the strength of a true immortal depends on the size of the rules and how far they have gone, and the strength of the rules also depends on the strength of the true immortal. The two complement each other. If you have comprehended many rules, but each of them is only 100 or 2 feet wide, and another cultivator only has one rule, but it is 100 feet wide, who do you think is stronger? If they are of the same length, the latter is definitely stronger. This is because it is very difficult to completely integrate many rules. The latter is not only wider, but also can use more power. Therefore, it is not necessarily good to master more rules. In the end, Godslayer said again, actually, you don't have to understand these things now. What you need to do now is to improve your realm and strength as much as possible. You can talk about it when you become an immortal. He did not intend to say too much to Qin Shujian, the matter of true immortals. Only after becoming an immortal would he understand it. The other party was only at the 5th level of the celestial being, so there was no need to understand so much. Qin Shujian said, Senior, you once said that the realm is just a rule set by the strong. As long as I master the rule, I can directly abandon my current realm and advance to the true immortal realm. If I master the rule of strength and enter the long river of rules with my current strength, do I have any hope of becoming an immortal? Becoming an immortal required the physical body to enter the long river of rules. Then, it would undergo a transformation. According to Godslayer, one must have a strong enough physique to withstand such a transformation. Therefore, only then would the rule of the cultivation technique realm appear. This was to prevent other cultivators from directly mastering the rule of strength, but resulting in their physical body not being strong enough and directly being annihilated in the long river of rules. If that was the case, Qin Shujian felt that his physical body should have reached an extremely strong level. Then, did he have the qualifications to become an immortal in a single step? Hearing this, Godslayer was silent for a short while, then slowly said, your physical body is very strong, not weaker than a cultivator at the peak of the celestial being realm. I don't know how you cultivated your physical body to this level. But as you said just now, as long as you walk to the end of the rule of strength and enter the long river of rules with your real body, you have a great chance of becoming an immortal. His physical body suppressed the void. He was already qualified to directly enter the long river of rules. However, you have to walk to the end of the rule of strength before the long river of rules will come out of the battlefield and lead your physical body into it. Then, you will be cleansed by the long river of rules and transform into an immortal body. But before that, you have no way of entering the mother stream of rules with your real body. The dangers in the mother stream of rules are much stronger than you think. Godslayer did not say too much on this matter. Regarding this, Qin Shujian did not ask further. Anyway, he now knew a lot of things and had some idea of becoming a true immortal. According to the other party, right now, he only needed to cultivate in seclusion and then control the rule of strength step by step. In the end, he would be able to open up the battlefield of rules and directly jump from the 5th level of the celestial being realm to the true immortal realm. However, this was not in line with Qin Shujian's goal. Becoming an immortal on the spot was naturally good. But what about after becoming an immortal? Right now, his foundation could still be broken and he could still improve step by step. When he cultivated the Gui Yuan ancestral code to perfection, he would be at his peak state when he became an immortal. If he directly became an immortal now, who knows, his foundation might be stopped at this point. Godslayer's words were half said and half left behind. These were all Qin Shujian's own guesses. But he was sure of one thing. The stronger one was before becoming an immortal. The stronger one would be after becoming an immortal. Moreover, it would be much easier to become stronger before becoming an immortal than after becoming an immortal. Otherwise, why would the ancient powerhouses accumulate their foundation at the celestial being realm? Wouldn't it be better to become an immortal quickly? Besides, with the current speed of the increase of his life source, Qin Shujian felt that he would not need many years to cultivate the Gui Yuan ancestral code to perfection. Becoming an immortal a few years earlier, it was about the same as becoming an immortal a few years later. Moreover, whether one became an immortal or not, it was only the difference in lifespan. If his strength was comparable to a true immortal, then who in the world dared to say that they were not an immortal? It doesn't matter whether I'm an immortal or not. I still have a long lifespan. As long as I can kill an immortal, then even if I'm not an immortal, I'm still an immortal in the eyes of others. Rules. Transcending the rules. Interesting. Qin Shujian thought of the powerhouse who set the rules and shook his head and laughed. In his sea of consciousness, Godslayer fell silent when he heard Qin Shujian's words. Indeed, the other party had now seen through some kind of essence. Such a powerhouse would be the most terrifying when he grew up in the future. No, the other party had already grown up. Now that there were no true immortals in this world, Qin Shujian was one of the top powerhouses in the world. Qin Shi, Godslayer thought of the other party's honorific title and realized that he could no longer call him a brat. After all, he was Zhu Bing of the human race. This was the human emperor of the human race. If he continued to call him a brat, it would be disrespectful. Godslayer did not say anything. Qin Shujian did not say anything either. At this moment, he was walking in the void turbulence. His body emitted a terrifying power, forcing all the void turbulence near him back and stabilizing that space. However, not long after Qin Shujian left, the pressure dissipated, and the void turbulence filled back up. To this, Qin Shujian did not mind. He was now extremely confident in his body. At the same time, Qin Shujian also realized he no longer needed to enter the human territory through the passage. He could directly cross the void turbulence. In the void turbulence, he could not sense the passage of time. After an unknown amount of time, Qin Shujian felt the familiar pressure again. However, the pressure that had once caused him to shrink back was now nothing in front of him. Qin Shujian stepped forward. Step by step, he walked into the depths of the void turbulence. The further he went, the stronger the pressure became. His body, which was enough to suppress the void, was emitting a dense luster, resisting the erosion of this pressure. Now, Qin Shujian could already see the blurry figure in the depths of the void turbulence. Last time, he had felt endless pressure from a glimpse. In the end, he had no choice but to retreat. This time, Qin Shujian walked here again. When he saw that figure, the pressure was still strong. But this pressure, it was still within the range that he could bear. An immortal of the middle 3 grades. Qin Shujian took a deep breath and then walked forward. The void turbulence here had already calmed down. Even if a true immortal died, his corpse was enough to suppress the void. However, although there was no void turbulence here, the pressure was even more terrifying than the void turbulence. The closer he got, Qin Shujian felt that the pressure was getting stronger and stronger. For this, his expression gradually became solemn. My body can already suppress the void. Just as Godslayer said, I have reached the limit of a celestial being. As long as I reach the point of opening up the battlefield of laws, I can now break into the long river of laws with my body. But even so, I still feel a great pressure in front of this pressure. If an ordinary celestial was here, he would have exploded and died. Are all true immortals so terrifying? Or only those who have reached the middle 3 grades have such power? Qin Shujian was not sure. This was the first time he was facing the pressure of a true immortal so directly. The further he went, the more obvious the pressure was. It was an unprecedented pressure. This is not an ordinary middle 3 grades true immortal. When he was alive, he was at least at the 5th grade. Godslayer's tone was solemn. 9th grade immortal. After stepping into the middle 3 grades, the transformation of each grade was an extremely terrifying change. He also did not expect. After the destruction of the ancient times, the human race could still give birth to such a terrifying expert. 5th grade immortal and 6th grade immortal. Godslayer was not sure, because this kind of strength was already close to the level of the ancient emperors. What he did not expect was, an existence of this level would still fall here. The battle 200,000 years ago, Godslayer thought that it was tragic enough, but now it seemed that the degree of tragedy was much greater than he thought. In the ancient times, experts of this level rarely fell by accident. At most, their lifespan would be exhausted and they would die. As for the voice in the sea of consciousness, Qin Shujian turned a deaf ear. To him, there was no difference between a 5th grade immortal and a 6th grade immortal. What he needed to do now was to walk in front of this immortal and then think of a way to see if there were any opportunities left. As he got closer, his body became clearer and clearer. A green robe, long hair draped over his shoulders. It seemed that the distance was not far, but Qin Shujian spent a lot of effort to completely get close to this immortal. Boom! He took a step forward. The void trembled. Qin Shujian felt as if he had passed through a thin film and entered another world. Then, a mountain collapsing pressure hit him in the face, forcing his body to erupt with terrifying power. Boom! The two pressures collided. Qin Shujian's body faintly cracked, and there was a fishy taste in his throat, but he quickly suppressed it. Then, he took another step forward and forcibly pushed back all the pressure that hit him in the face. Then, he looked up and saw the scene in front of him clearly. A green robe, long hair draped over his shoulders. His body was like jade, and terrifying Tao rhymes were circulating in it. He stood in the void with his hands behind his back, as if he could suppress heaven and earth. It was also at this moment, the true immortal's eyes abruptly opened, and boundless Taoist ripples of laws could be vaguely seen within them. You've come. Chapter 617. You're here. Yes, I'm here. You shouldn't have come, but I'm still here. Qin Shujian couldn't help but have such a conversation in his mind. But soon, he dispelled this distracting thought. When he came back to his senses, Qin Shujian's expression had changed greatly. In the void, the genuine immortal in green opened his eyes and put his hands behind his back as if he was suppressing the world. Qin Shujian stood opposite him. No one spoke. It was like a meeting between peerless masters. The scene looked good, but in fact, Qin Shujian's palms, which were folded in his sleeves, were already soaked in sweat. He didn't expect. The genuine immortal in front of him could speak. Was he alive? No. Qin Shujian immediately reacted. The lifespan of a genuine immortal was only 129,600 years. According to the Godslayer, no genuine immortal could break this shackle. The genuine immortal in front of him. He was a master from 200,000 years ago. No matter how strong he was, then he should have died by now. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian felt a little relieved. Then he looked at the genuine immortal in green in front of him, cupped his hands and said, I'm the human emperor of the human clan. Greetings, genuine immortal. He could feel it. The genuine immortal in front of him had the blood of the human clan. As the human emperor, Qin Shujian was very sensitive to this. Hearing this, the genuine immortal in green said with a faint smile, "You don't have to be nervous, Emperor Qin. You know me?" Qin Shujian looked surprised. He had never said that his surname was Qin, but the other party knew his name. Could it be? The genuine immortal in front of him really knew that he would come here? The genuine immortal in green said, "A few days ago, the luck of the human clan shook, which awakened my remnant soul. I knew it under the order of Emperor Qin." As for why he was sure that Qin Shujian was Emperor Qin and not Emperor Zhao, he didn't explain much. However, Qin Shujian keenly caught the words of the genuine immortal in green. Remnant soul. The genuine immortal in front of him was not a genuine immortal, but his remnant soul? Thinking of this, Qin Shujian's expression changed again. The cyan-clothed true immortal seemed to have seen through the other party's thoughts. He said with a faint smile, "A true immortal's lifespan is only 129,600 years. Even the ancient emperor of heaven couldn't get rid of this limitation. I was born 270,000 years ago. Even if I didn't die by accident, my lifespan should have been exhausted. However, before I died, I saw a glimpse of the future in the river of time. The great calamity of the Devil Abyss, which destroyed the ancient times, is about to return after 1,000,000 years. Now that the human race is weak, it is not as prosperous as it was in the ancient times. It will not be easy to survive the great calamity of the Devil Abyss. Therefore, before I died, I left a remnant of my soul sealed in my physical body. I hoped that in the future, I would have a chance to use it. It's a pity that the fortune of the human race shook recently, causing the sealing power in my body to disperse, causing my soul fragment to awaken prematurely. If the Qin Emperor still doesn't come, it won't be long before my soul fragment disappears completely. It's the will of the heavens for the Qin Emperor to come." The cyan-clothed true immortal didn't give Qin Shujian a chance to speak. These words, he seemed to have prepared for a long time. When he spoke, he didn't pause at all. After that, the cyan-clothed true immortal raised his hand. A bronze ring fell from his finger and flew toward Qin Shujian. "This is what I left behind. It's also the only help I can give to the human race." Qin Shujian reached out his hand. He caught the bronze ring. He could feel that there was a strong sealing power on the ring. It seemed that there was something terrible inside. The cyan-clothed true immortal said, "In the ancient immortal realm, there is half of the rules of my Tao. Although the path of the rules is cut off, if you merge with it, you can still step into the true immortal realm. If there is a chance in the future, you may be able to reconnect the cut-off path. However, this is my Tao after all. Whether you really want to walk it or not, you have to think about it yourself." Boom. Half of the rules. The Tao of Immortal Ascension. Qin Shujian originally came to find the remains of the true immortal. He wanted to see if there was any possibility of improving his strength. However, he definitely didn't expect that. There was still a remnant soul in the true immortal's remains. Moreover, the other party had given him half of the rules. Wait, why was it half of the rules? Qin Shujian couldn't help but look at the void turbulence around him. He already understood. The cyan-clothed true immortal said, "In that battle, I shattered half of the rules and turned this place into a void turbulence. Then, I cut a section of the river from the long river of time and space and turned it into a barrier to protect the eastern continent. As for the remaining half of the rules, I plucked it from the world and merged it with this place." Plucked the rules. Such shocking words came out of the mouth of the cyan-robed true immortal, but it was an understatement. The strength of a true immortal in front of him. It was terrifying. Qin Shujian couldn't help but ask, "Senior, if no one touches your remnant soul, won't you stay here forever?" "That's right." The cyan-clothed true immortal nodded and said, "If the human race's fortune doesn't change, my remnant soul won't awaken. However, if the chaotic void turbulence here is broken, I'll still awaken." Hearing that, Qin Shujian finally understood what the other party meant. When the cyan-clothed true immortal died, he sealed his remnant soul in the power of his physical body, so that he didn't completely die after 200,000 years. If the human race triggered his remnant soul, then, they would be able to obtain the inheritance left behind by the cyan-clothed true immortal. However, if the foreign race calmed the void turbulence and triggered the cyan-clothed true immortal's remnant soul, they would definitely not obtain the inheritance. He looked at the true immortal in front of him. Although the other party said that he was a remnant soul, however, judging by the power of his physical body alone, he could suppress the void and the world. Even if he was a remnant soul, he probably still had the power to fight. When that time came, he was afraid that the foreign race would be doomed. After understanding the other party's plan, Qin Shujian also admired him from the bottom of his heart. 200,000 years ago, at the cost of his own life, he protected the inheritance of the human race in the eastern continent. 200,000 years later, the remnant soul still remained, passing on the torch for the human race. Such an expert, Qin Shujian couldn't help but admire him. He could even feel that the human race's fortune was trembling, as if it had also sensed the existence of this true immortal. Immediately after, the cyan-clothed true immortal said with a smile, "To be honest, you weren't in the future image I saw in the long river of time and space, but you just happened to appear. From this, it can be seen that you will be a variable for the human race. The Qin Emperor might not be interested in my half-rule. If you don't want to use it, then you can do whatever you want with it." Variable. There were good and bad things. In the cyan-clothed true immortal's opinion, Qin Shujian in front of him was a good thing for the human race. In the image he saw, the human race's fortune shouldn't be as prosperous as it was now, and the situation shouldn't be like this. Qin Shujian said, "I wonder what the future image you saw was like?" "I can't say." The cyan-clothed true immortal shook his head. "There are countless changes in the long river of time, and the image I saw was just one of them. The future is changing every moment, just like your arrival. It's actually not good to pursue the future. Because you know too much, what you do will no longer follow your heart. At that time, what you hope for may not be what you think." The cyan-clothed true immortal's words were a bit ambiguous. Qin Shujian understood. Immediately after, he looked at the cyan-clothed true immortal and said, "Senior, what happened 200,000 years ago? The ancient times collapsed, and the human race was weak. In the first few 100,000 years, it was fine, and there were still many human experts. However, as time went by, and with the suppression of the other races, more and more human experts died. In the end, there weren't many human experts left, and they could only hide in one place to survive. However, the other races were very clear about the potential of the human race. They were worried that the human race would have a chance to rise in the future, so they wanted to destroy the human race while it was declining. The cyan-clothed true immortal said calmly. However, Qin Shujian could hear the anger contained in his words. At that time, were all the races against the human race? Did the human race have no allies? Allies? The cyan-clothed true immortal glanced at him, shook his head and said, "You should know that allies are the most unreliable. When the human race was in power, they naturally had many allies. But when the human race was in power, how many allies could they have? The other races wanted to destroy the human race. Any force that stood on the side of the human race would suffer a destructive blow. No one would put their own race on the verge of destruction for the sake of their so-called allies. It was fine in the beginning, but as the human race became weaker and weaker, the allies gradually became neutral and finally became enemies. I can tell you clearly that now all the races in the 4 continents, except for the Eldar, have their hands stained with the blood of the human race. This can never be washed away. The other races wanted to destroy the human race, and the human race wanted to destroy the human race. The Emperor of Heaven was too merciful, which led to the current disaster. If you have the chance in the future, you must remember not to give the other races a chance to rise again. A centipede dies but never falls down. Either you don't take action, or they will never have the chance to rise again." In the void, the cyan-clothed true immortal started to talk about the past. Qin Shujian listened attentively from the side. After a long time, Qin Shujian said, "What happened in the end? Senior, what happened in the end? Was your strength not enough to fight against the powerhouses of the other races? Or were the other races very powerful 200,000 years ago?" To tell the truth, he couldn't understand how powerful the other races were 200,000 years ago. The cyan-clothed true immortal said, "Well, they shouldn't have been very powerful. I remember that there was a level 4 immortal of the demon race, and another level 4 immortal of the ancient Buddha race. The others were all immortals of the lower 3 levels. In total, there were about 20 immortals of the other races at that time. The human race was not powerful 200,000 years ago. When the other races joined forces, the human race could not resist them. So, I took half of the rule and blew up all the 20 immortals, separating the eastern continent from the 4 continents in an instant. However, there seemed to be some demons who sneaked in. It shouldn't be a big problem. I don't think those demons are very strong. The human race should be able to deal with them. If they really can't deal with them and are destroyed by the demons, then there's nothing we can do. It's the will of the heavens," the cyan-clothed true immortal said casually. It was as if what he did was just something insignificant. Qin Shujian's expression was completely stunned. He took half of the rule. He blew up all the 20 immortals. Those were more than 20 immortals, not 20 pigs. In the end, they blew up just like that. Qin Shujian swallowed with difficulty and said, "Then, are all the 20 immortals dead? More than 10 died, and a few escaped. But it doesn't matter. I've already drawn the sunken river down, and I've directly cut off the laws of heaven and earth. With the talent of those few pieces of trash, I reckon they won't be able to break through the boundary. 200,000 years have passed. They should all be dead. Although they didn't die from the explosion, it doesn't matter if they die sooner or later." What a ruthless person. Qin Shujian worshipped the cyan-clothed true immortal. What was a big shot? This was a big shot. But unfortunately, the other party had died in the end. Even such a talented person couldn't escape the fate of death. Regarding this, Qin Shujian also felt that it was a pity. The genuine immortal in cyan robe said faintly, "Everyone is destined to die. Even a genuine immortal can only live for 120,000 years. Since he will die sooner or later, it is better to have a vigorous battle than to pass away in silence. It's good that I can expand the territory of the human race. If not, I can only preserve a little bit of life. That's the best I can do." "Maybe," Qin Shujian muttered in his heart. Then, he looked at the cyan-clothed true immortal and said, "Senior, may I ask if you left any true immortal's essence blood? If so, why don't you give some to Bin Huang for other uses?" Qin Shujian finally remembered the purpose of his visit. He was here to look for essence blood. If he could refine the essence blood of a true immortal, his strength would increase exponentially. Essence blood of a true immortal? The cyan-clothed true immortal was surprised. He shook his head and said, "If you came 100,000 years earlier, there should still be some. But now, the essence blood of a true immortal has long melted. The pressure here is very strong. Apart from the suppression of my physical body, the rest is the effect of the essence blood of the fallen true immortal." Huh? Qin Shujian was stunned. What did he mean? Did he not have the essence blood of a true immortal? That didn't make sense. The Nirvana realm essence blood of a star sage could be preserved for tens of thousands of years. There was no reason that the essence blood of a true immortal couldn't be preserved. Seeing this, Qin Shujian didn't give up and asked, "Is there not a single drop of essence blood?" "No." The cyan-clothed true immortal shook his head and said indifferently, "This is the void turbulence." When it was just formed, there were still many broken laws. Although the essence blood of a true immortal is powerful, it can't withstand the erosion of the laws. Besides, I've already died and don't have the means to preserve my essence blood. As time passed, the essence blood of a true immortal will naturally be consumed bit by bit under the erosion of the laws. It was really gone. Qin Shujian suddenly felt a pain in his chest. It was a heartache. He hated it. He hated himself for not coming 100,000 years earlier. If he had come 100,000 years earlier, there should have been a lot of essence blood of a true immortal here. After all, more than 10 immortals had died, so there would be a lot of essence blood. If he could refine all the essence blood of a true immortal, Qin Shujian had a hunch. his strength would definitely reach a very terrifying level. At that time, it would be easy for him to punch the demon emperor of the Western continent and kick the divine emperor of the Southern continent. But now, there was nothing left. Qin Shujian was so heartbroken that he couldn't breathe. Looking at the other party's pained expression, the cyan-clothed true immortal was also confused. However, he didn't think too much about this matter. Instead, he said, "There's something I want to tell you, Emperor Qin." Hearing that, Qin Shujian came back to his senses from the heartache. "Senior, what advice do you have for me? If you can't guarantee the inheritance of the human clan, then let the demonic abyss come. Don't sacrifice the human clan in order to fight against the demonic abyss." The Emperor of Heaven in ancient times had already made a mistake. This time, I hope the human clan won't make a mistake again. You haven't experienced hundreds of thousands of years ago, so you don't understand the situation of the human clan. But I do. All the clans, they don't have the right to make the human clan work for them. If it's really to the point of no return, even if this world is completely destroyed, don't let the other clans eat the flesh of the human clan and drink the blood of the human clan to survive. The cyan-clothed true immortal's aura fluctuated a little, and his calm expression gradually became a little distorted. But soon, he recovered and looked at Qin Shujian with a little more hope in his eyes. The human clan has done enough for the other clans. I hope the emperor of the human clan is only the emperor of the human clan. The Emperor of Heaven cared about all living beings, but he forgot that all living beings were different races. His mistake caused the human clan to decline for 1,000,000 years. I hope you won't repeat the same mistake and let the human clan experience another 1,000,000 years of decline. Maybe after 1,000,000 years, there won't be any more human clan in the world. If there are no more human clan, then the existence of the world is meaningless. Without the human clan, the existence of the world is meaningless. Qin Shujian looked at the cyan-clothed true immortal quietly. He was a little confused about his bigoted words, but he understood more. After a while, he nodded. Ben Huang is only the emperor of the human clan, not the emperor of the other clans. With your words, I have no regrets. The cyan-clothed true immortal seemed to have fulfilled some of his wishes, and the expression on his face became a little more real. Then, the cyan-clothed true immortal's body, which hadn't moved for a long time, suddenly trembled. Then, he took a step forward, and there seemed to be a broken long river of rules under his feet. The originally chaotic void. When the cyan-clothed true immortal took a step forward, it completely calmed down. Qin Shujian looked shocked. What was the cyan-clothed true immortal doing? He had some guesses in his mind, but he wasn't sure. At this moment, the world was shaking. In the sky above the 4 continents, boundless blood covered the sky. Blood-red thunderbolts lingered in it. All the living beings and cultivators looked up at the sky at this moment, and their minds couldn't help but tremble. What happened? What's going on? What happened? Countless living beings were shocked, and the hands and feet of the celestial being cultivators were shaking. No one knew what had happened. The shaking that covered the 4 continents completely shocked these cultivators. The ancient Buddha clan. The ancient Buddha emperor had just entered seclusion, but at this moment, he suddenly woke up. He opened his eyes and looked at the blood-red thunderbolts outside the ancient Buddha secret realm, and his face was full of horror. What the hell happened? He had no idea what had happened. In front of the blood-red thunderbolts, the ancient Buddha emperor realized how small he was. It was as if the thunderbolts in the sky could bombard him into pieces at any time. That terrifying power. Even the most powerful Nirvana realm cultivators were trembling. At this moment, the ancient Buddha clan, the monster clan, the god clan, Bloodling Huang, and many other top experts woke up one after another. Looking at the blood-red clouds and thunderbolts that occupied their vision, their eyes were filled with horror. No one knew what was happening at this moment. The Eastern Continent. In the imperial city of Zhongzhou, Emperor Zhao also looked up at the blood-red thunderbolts that covered the Eastern Continent with a solemn expression. That power, it shocked even him. The great tribulation of the demon abyss hasn't arrived yet. What kind of tribulation can cause such a big change? Emperor Zhao was also confused now. Although he knew a lot of things, he wasn't omniscient. The current situation, Emperor Zhao felt a little troubled. However, although he was shocked, Emperor Zhao wasn't too shocked in his heart. Now that the human clan's luck was gradually flourishing, he was in the imperial city of Zhongzhou. If there was really a change, he could deal with it. In the void turbulence, the cyan-robed true immortal stepped out. The void turbulence that stretched for an unknown length of time had been completely suppressed by now. From the eastern continent, it was as if the entire sky had been opened, and the world had become different. If the passage was originally opened, if it was just tearing a hole in the void turbulence, then the current void turbulence would be forcibly suppressed. The eastern continent was shocked. The human clan's 100,000 miles territory was also shocked. What's going on? Why did the void turbulence disappear? The East City Lord was about to go crazy. The void turbulence was now the most important barrier for the human clan to control the eastern continent. Now that the void turbulence was gone, then the eastern continent could be considered to have completely merged with the four great continents. If that was the case, the human clan occupying 100,000 miles of territory would be a joke, because compared to the void turbulence, 100,000 miles of territory was not even 1/10 of it. If that was the case, what could they use to stop the various clans from entering the eastern continent? Although the East City Lord had the idea of letting the various clans enter the eastern continent, that was under the situation where the human clan could control the situation. He definitely wouldn't open the door of the entire eastern continent for the other clans to step in like now. The East City Lord was shocked. Dan Hao was also shocked and angry. Quick, send a message to His Majesty immediately. They were in big trouble. The void turbulence was gone. It would not be so easy for the human clan to monopolize the eastern continent. And once the war started, the various clans would cross the human clan's 100,000 miles of territory and directly charge into the eastern continent. At that time, the casualties would be indescribable. The East City Lord wasn't the only one who went crazy. The city lords of the other three cities, as well as the experts in charge, all felt like they were going crazy. It was also at this moment, an endless pressure spread out from the void turbulence, sweeping out in all directions like a wave. Everyone who was affected by this power, they all felt as if their hearts were being gripped tightly by a large hand, and they almost suffocated. What happened again? The East City Lord couldn't breathe properly. First, the blood-red lightning covered 100,000 miles of the human clan's territory, then the void turbulence completely disappeared, and now a terrifying aura swept across the world. He understood. This was definitely something unpredictable that had happened. Could it be that there was still a terrifying expert sleeping in the void turbulence that had finally woken up? Soon, the East City Lord thought of this possibility. But what kind of sleeping expert could cause such a commotion? At this moment, the East City Lord turned his head with difficulty and looked at Dan Hao. They could see the answer from each other's eyes. Immortal. An immortal from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Thinking of this, their hearts skipped a beat once again. If it was really a sleeping true immortal that had woken up, it would be fine if it was the human clan. But if it was an outsider, it would really be a nightmare. In the void turbulence, Qin Shujian's ears were still echoing the words of the cyan-robed true immortal. There's not much I can do. Let me do my last bit for the human clan. Hearing this, Qin Shujian could not help but follow the footsteps of the cyan-robed true immortal. At this moment, the cyan-robed true immortal was walking in the void, and the gray river beneath his feet surged, crossing the void between heaven and earth. 100,000 miles of the human clan's territory. At this moment, all the cultivators raised their heads and saw the gray river streaking across the sky. In front of the gray river, the cyan-robed true immortal stood with his hands behind his back. A terrifying power spread out, and the blood-red thunderbolts finally reached their peak, continuously striking the other party. The thunderbolts were terrifying. They shattered the vacuum. The power of each thunderbolt was enough to make a Nirvana realm expert's heart palpitate. The cyan-robed true immortal reached out his hand and easily caught the falling thunderbolts in his palm, and then threw them back, destroying each other with the falling thunderbolts. Just as the others were shocked, a person followed the cyan-robed true immortal closely. When they saw that person, the others' faces changed again. That's Emperor Qin. Emperor Qin is here. The human emperor of the human clan is here. He will be fine. When the humans saw Qin Shujian, after a brief moment of silence, a relieved smile appeared on their faces. Emperor Qin. For the human clan of 100,000 miles of territory, Emperor Qin was their spiritual pillar. In the past, Qin Shujian killed Emperor Qiju and the powerful figures of the various clans here. Such power. It was deeply ingrained in the hearts of the people. Even the Zhao Emperor might not be able to command such prestige. The people's hearts were shaken because of the many changes. When they saw Qin Shujian, they calmed down a lot. Emperor Qin is here. The East City Lord also let out a sigh of relief. When the sky fell, there was a tall man to hold it up. Although he didn't think Qin Shujian would be a match for the cyan-robed true immortal, at least he felt more at ease when he came. Dan Hao on the other side. It was the same. At this moment, Qin Shujian looked at the cyan-robed true immortal's back as he left. He suddenly took out the heaven list and shouted in a deep voice, "Everyone, send off the true immortal of the human clan." His voice was loud. It spread across 100,000 miles of territory. Send off the true immortal of the human clan. Hearing this, a confused look appeared on everyone's faces. However, at this moment, the luck of the human clan on the heaven list was vast, and it directly flowed into the Gray River. Suddenly, a dense light rose from the cyan-robed true immortal's body, and all the falling blood-red thunderbolts were blocked by this power. Seeing this scene, all the humans felt something in their hearts, and they immediately bowed to the cyan-robed true immortal. The cyan-robed true immortal laughed loudly. Today, Xia Yi of the human clan will kill the demons for the human clan. His voice rolled and spread across the sky. At this moment, the Gray River shattered the void, and the cyan-robed true immortal had already descended on the western prefecture. He slapped down. Heaven and earth collapsed. Many demons below looked up and saw that the sky had completely darkened at this moment. A terrifying power fell. All of the monsters exploded. In the demon clan's secret realm, the demon emperor was furious. A 100,000 feet true dragon soared into the sky, holding the heavenly demon temple in its mouth, and it was already charging towards the cyan-robed true immortal. Zhu Bing's power was activated. The heavenly demon temple suppressed the void. A mere nirvana realm cultivator is just an ant. The cyan-robed true immortal looked at the demon emperor with disdain in his eyes. He pointed a finger from afar. The heavenly demon temple shook violently, and a terrifying power erupted. The demon emperor's body immediately exploded. Next, the cyan-robed true immortal punched out again, and the heavenly demon temple was completely smashed into the void. The demon emperor's body suffered the power of this punch, and half of it shattered. He screamed and fell. In the demon clan, all the powerhouses were speechless. No one expected the cyan-robed true immortal to be so powerful. As the strongest powerhouse of the demon clan, the demon emperor couldn't even last 2 rounds. At this moment, in the demon clan's mystic realm, an aura that was even more terrifying than the demon emperor's rose. A broken dragon body tore through the void, and the huge dragon head looked at the cyan-robed true immortal and said slowly, "Xia Yi, why do you have to do this? You're indeed still alive." The cyan-robed true immortal looked at the old dragon, and the disdain in his eyes did not diminish at all. "I let you escape back then. The reason why you're still alive now is all because of the dragon transformation pool. Although I'm not dead, I'm almost there." The old dragon's expression was normal, but he looked at the cyan-robed true immortal with a complicated gaze. "You're only left with a wisp of remnant soul. You can't destroy the demon clan, so why do you have to do such a useless thing? Whether I can destroy you or not is another matter. I'll be happy to be able to kill your billions of demons." The cyan-robed true immortal said calmly, "I let you escape back then. Today, I'll kill you and then settle the score with the demon clan." As soon as he finished speaking, He had already struck with his palm. The old dragon let out an earth-shattering dragon roar and charged towards the cyan-robed true immortal. The two of them fought fiercely. The void collapsed. The void within 1,000,000 miles was covered by terrifying fluctuations, and the blood-red lightning in the sky kept striking down, trying to annihilate this existence that didn't belong to this world. Boom, boom, boom. Not long after, the old dragon fell into the void, and his already broken dragon body became even more unbearable. His aura was like a candle in the wind, and it seemed like it would be extinguished at any moment. But soon, the old dragon rose into the air again, and this time, he brought the heavenly demon temple with him. A great battle. There was another eruption. Qin Shujian watched this scene from afar, but he didn't have any chance to intervene. "Senior, who do you think will win?" He was asking the Godslayer. In his sea of consciousness, the Godslayer said in a deep voice, "It doesn't matter who wins or loses. That old dragon should be the trump card of the demon clan. I didn't expect him to hide in the dragon transformation pool, and that's why he hasn't completely died after 200,000 years. However, this old dragon has been forced out, and regardless of whether he wins or loses, he'll definitely die. Heaven and earth have already sensed his existence. The blood-red lightning is the punishment of the rules of heaven and earth. It punishes those who violate the rules until they completely break free from the shackles of the rules or completely die." The old dragon was doomed. The cyan-robed true immortal was also destined to die. Qin Shujian looked at the two people fighting in the sky, and then at the demon clan. All the experts of the demon clan had been alarmed. The demon emperor was severely injured. However, the demon clan was still extremely powerful. Moreover, it happened so suddenly. If the human clan had been prepared, now would be a good time to attack the demon clan. But now was not the time. Things happened so suddenly. Although he was strong enough, it was impossible for him to exterminate the demon clan in front of so many demon clan experts. Regarding this, he was also a little indignant. It was such a rare opportunity, but it was wasted just like that. Qin Shujian said, "Senior, if that true immortal senior also has Zhu Bing, can he kill that old dragon and then take the opportunity to destroy the demon clan?" "Impossible." The Godslayer said, "The heavenly demon temple is known for its defense, and that true immortal is just a wisp of remnant soul. Now that the thunder tribulation has fallen, he can't hold on for too long. Even if he has Zhu Bing, it's impossible to destroy the demon clan. Moreover, Zhu Bing will also be injured under the thunder tribulation. His current goal is very simple, which is to use the last of his strength to cause as much damage to the demon clan as possible." That old dragon was forced to use the heavenly demon temple to fight. After this battle, the heavenly demon temple will definitely be damaged, but it's hard to say how much. Just as the Godslayer was speaking, the battle between the two had reached a tragic level. The cyan-robed true immortal was a wisp of remnant soul after all. Although a true immortal's physical body was strong, it had been worn down in the shattered laws for so many years, so it was not light. Although the old dragon was not as strong as the other party, he had the heavenly demon temple in his hands. After a great battle, he did not fall into a disadvantageous position. At this moment, the blood-red thunderbolts of the 4 continents had all gathered in the western continent. Thunderbolts fell one after another. Every bolt of lightning was capable of causing the death of a Nirvana realm expert. Neither of them paid attention to the existence of the thunder tribulation. Instead, they focused on dealing with the powerful enemy in front of them. After an unknown period of time, the old dragon suddenly let out a tragic wail. The broken dragon body shattered inch by inch under the thunder tribulation. Then, the cyan-robed true immortal punched and forcefully destroyed the other party's body. Boom! The true immortal died. There was a rain of blood in the western continent. All the demon clan members were filled with indescribable grief. As for the heavenly demon temple, when the old dragon died, a corner of his body was also shattered by the thunder tribulation and fell toward the demon clan's mystic realm. The cyan-robed true immortal's physical body was broken, but his aura was still strong. At this moment, the thunder tribulation of laws had reached an extremely terrifying level. Countless blood-red thunderbolts devoured the cyan-robed true immortal. However, the moment he was completely devoured, the cyan-robed true immortal pointed a finger. The terrifying power tore the demon clan's mystic realm apart. The two demon clan mighty figures did not have to dodge and were directly turned into dust. The remaining demon clan members were also killed and injured. Qin Shujian looked at the sky. The cyan-robed true immortal was also looking at him with a faint smile. That's all I can do. Hearing that, Qin Shujian was a little dazed. By the time he came back to his senses, the cyan-robed true immortal was no longer in the sky. It was just that the blood-red thunderbolts were raging. Unlike the demon clan's true immortal, the cyan-robed true immortal had died 200,000 years ago. Therefore, his death did not cause any heaven and earth phenomenon. However, the human clan's fortune was shaken. The hearts of all the humans were filled with uncontrollable sorrow. Xia Yi of the human clan, don't worry, I won't let you down. Qin Shujian watched as the blood-red thunderbolts disappeared bit by bit. The sky that was originally covered in blood gradually became clear. Xia Yi. He had already memorized this name. All humans would also remember this name. P.S. Support the original Chidian Chinese networks. I am upright. Chapter 6:18. Most of the clans and factions did not expect that there would be a true immortal hidden among the humans. They did not expect that. The demon clan also had an ancient true immortal. In this era where the Nirvana realm was the emperor, true immortal, it only existed in legends. But this time, two true immortals had appeared, which shocked the world. The battle between the human Xia Yi and the demon clan's true immortal. It did not last long. At most, it was only an hour or two. However, the impact of this battle was deeply imprinted in the minds of all the experts. In this battle, the demon clan suffered heavy losses. The ancient true immortal died. Zhu Bing's heavenly demon temple was damaged. Even the demon emperor who suppressed the demon clan was seriously injured by the human true immortal. Not to mention, when Xia Yi of the human clan first appeared, he gave the demon clan a palm strike. Then, he gave the demon clan a final blow before he died. In front of a true immortal. And in front of a true immortal like Xia Yi. Below a true immortal. He was no different from an ant. If the demon emperor did not have the heavenly demon temple, he would have died at the hands of the other party. Those demons who were weaker than the demon emperor. What right did they have to block Xia Yi's attack? Now that the demon emperor was seriously injured, the entire demon clan was in a state of shock. All the demon clan experts scattered in the various continents had received the demon emperor's order to return to the demon clan's territory in the western continent to prevent the various clans from attacking the demon clan. It could be said that, although the demon clan did not seal the mystic realm, it was not far off. This battle, it was completely beyond the demon clan's expectations. The demon clan, who had dominated the western continent for hundreds of thousands of years, was seriously injured. On this day, not only was the demon clan speechless, but the four continents were also speechless. Qin Shujian did not attack the demon clan, because there was no need. The demon emperor of the demon clan was seriously injured, and the only hidden true immortal had died. It could be said that the strength of the demon clan had fallen to a freezing point. More importantly, Qin Shujian saw that when Xia Yi attacked the demon clan's mystic realm, the two demon clan experts who died were also dragons, together with the dragons who died at the hands of Black Crow Taoist. Until now, the dragons had at least 3 powerful experts. One had to know, although the demon race was a complete race, there were actually many different races within it. But the position of the demon emperor, it had always been controlled by the dragons. In the end, it was also because of the strength of the dragons that they were able to suppress the other races that they were able to stabilize their position as the demon emperor. But now, not only did the dragons suffer heavy losses, even the demon emperor who carried the cauldron was severely injured. In this way, some of the powerful races that had been suppressed by the demon emperors and dragons would have their own ideas. Chaos. The Messier, the better. Sooner or later, Bin Huang will exterminate you demons. Qin Shujian was filled with murderous intent. He took a deep look at the secret realm of the demon clan and left. There were quite a few experts in the demon clan. It was not the time to start a war. Not long after, Qin Shujian flew back and reappeared in the human territory of 100,000 miles wide. Suddenly, he shouted loudly, Xia Yi of the human clan has killed the demon immortals, severely injured the demon emperor, destroyed countless demons, and strengthened the human clan. This is a great merit that should be recorded in the annals of history for future generations to admire. 100,000 miles of territory. Qin Shujian's voice was mighty. The humans of the four cities were all speechless. Then, Qin Shujian shouted again, the heavens bless the human clan, and the human Tao will prosper forever. As soon as he finished, the heaven list was taken out. The destiny of the human clan was vast. Immediately, the humans of the four cities felt something and shouted loudly, the heavens bless the human clan, and the human Tao will prosper forever. The heavens bless the human clan, and the human Tao will prosper forever. The heavens bless the human clan, and the human Tao will prosper forever. Their voices shook heaven and earth. At this moment, killing intent soared into the sky. Battle intent soared into the sky. Qin Shujian flew into the air and transformed into a huge Dharma body, appearing in the eyes of all the humans in the 100,000 miles of territory. Pass down Bin Huang's order. From today onwards, all humans will take it as their duty to kill the demon clan. The human clan's territory will expand to 300,000 miles to the east continent. Anyone who dares to stop us will be killed without mercy. Yes, Qin Emperor. The East City Lord was the first to respond. Then, a giant rose from the ground and advanced 300,000 miles with the East City in his hand. Then, the East City fell and divided the area. Immediately, many experts of the Western continent frowned. Some experts of the races close to 300,000 miles of territory also flew into the air and looked at Qin Shujian. They said in a deep voice, Qin Emperor, we are not enemies with the human clan. Now that the human clan is expanding their territory, they are crossing the line. 300,000 miles of territory. It was enough to infringe on the interests of many races. Every inch of land. It was all divided by the various races. At this time, the human clan had expanded 300,000 miles. The other races were fine. But for those who happened to be within 300,000 miles of territory, it could be said that their sphere of influence had been reduced by at least half. Regarding this, how could these races tolerate it? However, just as this expert opened his mouth to speak, a terrifying fist had already shattered the vacuum and blasted his physical body apart. Then, the heaven list smashed down, and this expert of the 8th level of the celestial being realm completely died. The sudden change. It made everyone's expression change drastically. No one would have thought that Qin Shujian would be so decisive and kill him just like that. One had to know. The race of the person who spoke just now was also considered a neutral race. Under such circumstances, Qin Shujian still killed him. He was so domineering. It made the other experts frown. Qin Shujian held the heaven list in his hand and looked in the direction of the endless void. He said coldly, Bin Huang is not negotiating with you. Whoever is not convinced, just come over. The human clan will take them all. If you don't dare, then get lost. Do you really think that the human clan is a weak race? Any cat or dog dares to come over and bark. If the demon clan occupies 300,000 miles of territory, do you dare to say no? His voice shook the surroundings. In the endless void, many experts were enraged. But thinking of Qin Shujian's strength, they suppressed their anger. The human clan. They really couldn't afford to offend them. Originally, some clans dared to attack the human clan because the human clan was hostile to many big clans and thought that the human clan had no strength left to fight back. But now, the experts of the human clan appeared one after another. And now, an ancient true immortal had appeared and crippled the Yao clan. Now, a true immortal of the human clan had fallen. Qin Shujian was obviously in a killing frenzy. At such a time, whoever dared to show up would be a target to be attacked. So, these experts simply fell silent. Humph! Qin Shujian's cold eyes swept across the void and finally landed on the East City Lord. Without the permission of the human clan, anyone who dares to set foot in the human clan's territory will be killed without exception. If there is any disobedience, the East City Lord will bring his head to see me. Yes, Qin Emperor. The East City Lord bowed his head and accepted the order. Right now, his mind was also in turmoil. When the human clan had such a tough attitude, the situation in the past, it was only when the other clans came to their door that the human clan fought back. Otherwise, the human clan wouldn't take the initiative to cause trouble, because the human clan had too many enemies. If they took the initiative to cause trouble, they might cause more trouble. But this Qin Emperor obviously didn't have such considerations. He was decisive and ruthless. He was simply unscrupulous. For such a person, the East City Lord was worried but also a little excited. If he really had the strength, who would be willing to be a grandson? If he wanted to be a grandson, he was still not strong enough. At this time, Qin Shujian looked at the endless void and said, "We humans can't wipe out the Yao and Shen races, but it's still easy for us to wipe out races like yours. There's no need for the true immortals of my race to do anything. I can uproot all of you. In the future, think carefully about whether those big clans really have the ability to protect you. Or else, if you dare to interfere, it will be the time of your clan's extinction. If you don't believe me, come and try." After saying that, Qin Shujian didn't even look at the experts of those clans and immediately flew away. At this time, where the restriction of heaven and earth was, with Xia Yi's death, the pressure that suppressed the void turbulence gradually weakened. Not long after, the void turbulence broke through the seal of the pressure and turned the rest of the area into an impassable forbidden area. Looking at the void turbulence in front of him, Qin Shujian also felt slightly relieved. If the void turbulence really disappeared, it wouldn't be a good thing for the human clan. Don't be fooled by what he said just now. In fact, the human clan's strength was still not enough. If it was enough, now it was time to send troops to attack the demon clan and try to destroy the demon clan, instead of simply expanding the territory of 300,000 miles. With the current strength of the human clan, it's not a problem to attack the demon clan with all their strength. I'm just afraid that if the human clan attacks, the blood Eldar of the god clan won't be able to sit still. After all, in the matter of dealing with the human clan, these clans are considered allies. They would be happy to see the demon clan suffer heavy losses, but if the demon clan is destroyed, they won't sit still. Qin Shujian didn't need to think carefully to understand the key points. If the human clan didn't exist, then if the demon clan was destroyed, these large clans might add insult to injury. But with the human clan, things were completely different. Compared to the threat of the human clan, the importance of the demon clan was not small. With one more clan to contend against, the pressure on the other clans would be less. But if they wanted to use the power of the entire clan to destroy the human clan, those large clans were unwilling, afraid that they would work for the other clans. It was precisely because of this idea. Only then would the human clan be stable. In another 100 years, no, not 100 years, give me a few more decades, there shouldn't be a problem for the various clans. Qin Shujian took a deep breath. As long as he improved the Gue Yuan ancestral canon to perfection, his combat strength would definitely reach a level that could pierce through heaven and earth. When that time came, even if a perfected immortal appeared, he would have the strength to fight. Immediately after, Qin Shujian looked at the ancient immortal ring on his right hand. That was what Xia Yi had left for the human clan. Half a rule. Senior, what kind of storage ring do you need to seal the rules? He was very curious. How could a ring seal the rules? Could it be that with the sealing power on it, it was obviously impossible? The Godslayer said slowly, "A storage ring can't seal the rules. I see that the ancient immortal ring on your hand is not as simple as a storage ring. I suspect that there is a small world inside." The current him, he also recovered from the matter of Xia Yi's death. As Zubing, although the Godslayer was used to seeing life and death, he couldn't help but feel some emotions when he saw the fall of a human clan expert. A small world. Qin Shujian was shocked. A small world. That was something that could only be opened by array formation grandmasters above the third realm. He had only seen 3 small worlds. They were on Heavenly Pattern Island, the foundation of the Human Clan, Eldar, and Demon Clan. Those 3 places. They were all small worlds. After a short period of shock, Qin Shujian's face showed a smile. Originally, I planned to break through to the third realm of Array Formation Grandmaster and then open up a secret realm as the foundation of the Qinyuan Sacred Ground. But now it seems that there is no need at all. Compared to the secret realm of the third realm of Array Formation Grandmaster, a small world was more advanced. If he could use a small world as the foundation of the Qinyuan Sacred Ground, why would he need a space secret realm? That was just neglecting the essentials. Moreover, although Xia Yi said that there was only half a rule in the ancient immortal ring, there might be other treasures. But those treasures, for a true immortal, they were not important at all. He had some guesses in his heart. However, Qin Shujian did not open the ancient immortal ring to investigate now. Now that there was nothing else to do in the human clan's territory, he decided to go back to the East Continent first. This time, he did not cross the void turbulence physically. Instead, he walked through the human clan's passage. The person at the entrance of the passage was still Xiao Hong. It was different from the last time. This time, when Xiao Hong saw Qin Shujian, his expression was a little complicated. "Greetings, Emperor Qin." "Steward Xiao, you're too polite." Qin Shujian had a good attitude towards acquaintances. Hearing this, Xiao Hong was a little flattered. It was just that Qin Shujian was not in the mood to talk too much with him now. After a simple greeting, he entered the human clan's passage. On the spot, Xiao Hong's expression was emotional. Emperor Qin's power is getting stronger and stronger. After the other party became an emperor, the power on his body was much stronger than before. In comparison, Marquis Baiyun did not have such an aura. On second thought, Xiao Hong also felt that it was normal. After all, Marquis Baiyun was just a duke, while Qin Shujian was one of the human emperors. Emperor Qin, the human emperor who ruled the cultivation world. Xiao Hong could not believe that he had once chatted and drank tea with a human emperor face to face like an old friend. He felt that this matter was enough for him to brag about for a long time. On the other side, Duan Sun was also dumbfounded now. He never expected that Qin Shujian would cause such a big commotion not long after entering the void turbulence. The power that was as vast as an abyss. Even though it had dissipated, Duan Sun still did not dare to forget it. Not long ago, the void turbulence had completely disappeared, which scared him half to death. Duan Sun almost thought that the barrier protecting the eastern continent had completely disappeared. If that was the case, as the person guarding the passage, it seemed that there was no need for him to exist. Of course, this was not the point. What Duan Sun really cared about was the crisis that the human clan would face after the void turbulence disappeared. After all, the void turbulence covered more than 1,000,000 miles. It was undoubtedly very difficult for the human clan to seal off this 1,000,000 miles of land and ensure that no experts of other clans sneaked in. In comparison, the human clan now had a territory of 100,000 miles, no, 400,000 miles. But in fact, the place they really had to guard was just a small passage entrance. The other territories weren't dispensable, but they weren't that important either. But once the void turbulence disappeared, there would be too many places for the human clan to guard. With the current number of experts of the human clan, they could not defend at all. In this way, when the other clans entered the eastern continent, they became permanent residents. But what made Duan Sun feel extremely fortunate was that, not long after the void turbulence disappeared, it returned to normal. It did not cause any major trouble. At this moment, the entrance of the passage surged slightly. A person walked out from inside. Duan Sun was stunned for a moment, then hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. "Greetings, Qin Emperor." General Duan is truly loyal to his duty. "Qin Emperor, you're too kind. This is my duty," Duan Sun said politely. He was inexplicably praised by the human emperor. He was still a little happy. In the past, Zhao Emperor rarely praised his subjects. Qin Shujian did not notice Duan Sun's expression. Instead, he turned to look at the void turbulence and said, "Just now, the void turbulence disappeared for a period of time. Send people to search along the way. If any cultivators of any race take the opportunity to sneak into the eastern continent, kill them without mercy. If you encounter an expert that you can't defeat, immediately send a message to Ben Huang." It had not been long since the void turbulence disappeared, but there might be experts of other clans who took the opportunity to sneak in. The eastern continent was the foundation of the human clan. They would definitely not allow outsiders to interfere. Hearing this, Duan Sun bowed and accepted the order. "Qin Emperor, don't worry. This general will immediately send people to investigate." Qin Shujian waved his hand and left. Seeing Qin Shujian leave, Duan Sun immediately gathered the generals and sent people to investigate the situation. At the same time, he sent a message back to Central Continent's Imperial City. Although he knew, at this moment, it should have already reached the Imperial City, but he still had to do it. On the other side, Qin Shujian stepped into the Liang Mountain Spirit Domain. A familiar feeling surged in his heart. There was no reason for it. He paused and sighed as he looked at the scene in front of him. From entering the void turbulence, from the time he came back, only 2 or 3 days had passed. But in these 2 or 3 days, Qin Shujian, on the other hand, felt somewhat tired. Especially Xia Yi's last battle, which shocked him even more. As early as 200,000 years ago, Xia Yi had already fallen. But the other party sealed his remnant soul until now, in the endless void turbulence, waiting for 200,000 years before waking up. What he did was for the sake of the human race's inheritance not to be destroyed. Qin Shujian had a premonition. If he didn't go to the void turbulence now, Xia Yi might do the same. But whether or not the ancient immortal ring could be handed over to him was another matter. Originally, Qin Shujian only planned to go to the void turbulence to find the true immortal's corpse and see if he could get any benefits. But he never thought so many things would happen. "I didn't plan to go to the void turbulence so quickly, but I suddenly felt something. Could it be that the human race's destiny also felt Xia Yi's existence, so it guided me there?" Now that he thought about it, Qin Shujian thought of something. In his spiritual sea, Godslayer said, "It's normal. As one of the human emperors, if something good or bad happens to the human race's destiny will give you a hint. As for why you were the one who sensed it and not Zhao Huang, maybe it's because you're closer to here. No one can say for sure." In the end, Godslayer gave a vague explanation. To this, Qin Shujian didn't care. It didn't matter if it was true or not. Now that Xia Yi had fallen, there was no need to investigate. "Senior, was Xia Yi also the human emperor from 200,000 years ago?" "I'm not sure," Godslayer said indifferently. "The human emperor is not necessarily the strongest of the race. Those who are recognized by the people can also become the human emperor. Xia Yi may or may not be the human emperor, but one thing is certain. Once a new human emperor ascends the throne, the fallen human emperor is no longer the human emperor. The human emperor doesn't exist in the past or the future, only in the present. So, even if Xia Yi was once the human emperor, he has already fallen. Facing you, the new human emperor, he still has to show enough respect. The position of the human emperor is not as simple as you think. There are many benefits in the future. Feel it well." Qin Shujian sighed. Indeed, there were many benefits to being the human emperor. He now experienced one of the biggest benefits, which was that his life source was increasing at a terrifying speed. To be honest, in the space turbulence, Qin Shujian had no concept of time. But from the speed of his life source increasing, he could estimate the time. At this moment, human territory, at the center of the 4 cities. On a towering monument, there was an additional line of words. Human race Xia Yi, true immortal in the year 6789. He killed the true immortal of the monster race, heavily injured the monster emperor, destroyed countless monsters, and strengthened the human race. This was the human race monument. The real main monument was in the hands of Emperor Zhao. But in the 4 cities of the human race, there was a secondary monument. The secondary monument was separated from the main monument. The information on the main monument would appear on the secondary monument at the same time. Seeing the words on it, all the cultivators were speechless. Even some of the players were filled with respect for him. Although they couldn't see the scene of Xia Yi heavily injuring the monster emperor and killing the true immortal of the monster race, that shocking power was still deeply rooted in their hearts. For the players, this world was just a game world, but for some things, they couldn't help but feel touched. The heavens bless the human race. The human race will prosper forever. Someone muttered those words. The others also felt the same. On the player forums, compared to the past where many things were discussed, the forums now were much more monotonous. There was only one video, along with a slogan. It was hung high at the top of the forums. Human race Xia Yi killed the true immortal of the monster race here, strengthening the human race. The human race will prosper forever. For the players, what Xia Yi had done, in their eyes, was like what had happened to them. Because they were humans too. Everyone was from the human race, so they felt it more deeply. The human race will prosper forever. The Blade Master, who was already in the spirit martial realm, laughed and shook his head as he listened to the discussions around him. He didn't listen much, because there was no need. At this moment, along with Qin Shujian's return, Yuan's sect became much calmer. Just like what he had instructed, all the sects that came to visit were sent back. In the next month, he didn't plan to see any guests. During this period of time, Yuan's sect sent people everywhere to collect enough materials to build the human emperor's palace. As for how to build the human emperor's palace, Zheng Fang actually didn't have any ideas. But it wasn't that he didn't have any ideas. For this, Zheng Fang specially asked people to collect information about the palace, and finally added his own guesses to collect the corresponding materials. At the same time, Qin Shujian was also sitting in the courtyard, studying the ancient immortal ring in his hand. He also released the god-slaying saber from his sea of consciousness. Not sure if it was because he was addicted to the previous two transformations, but this time, the Godslayer also created a clone and sat opposite Qin Shujian. Senior, if I release the seal on the ancient immortal ring, do you think that the small world will directly come out? Playing with the ancient immortal ring, Qin Shujian didn't dare to release the seal on it. If the seal was released, if the small world directly came crashing down, it would be a big joke. Not to mention anything else, just Mount Liang alone would be crushed instantly. As for the cultivators in the sect, none of them would be able to escape. When that time came, that would be awkward. The Godslayer said, "Let me take a look at the ancient immortal ring." Here, Qin Shujian handed the ancient immortal ring over. The Godslayer took the ancient immortal ring, looked left and right, and then returned it. The material used to forge the ancient immortal ring is very strange. Although it isn't a Dao artifact or spirit artifact, it has the power to carry space. If I'm not wrong, this should be the Void Stone. Void Stone? Qin Shujian was puzzled. As the #1 blacksmith in the 4 continents, he had never heard of the Void Stone. Although all his blacksmiths came from the Ancestral Book of Forging. But the information recorded in the Ancestral Book of Forging was very comprehensive, especially with the system's many deductions. A lot of the information was newly added by the system. He had never heard of the Void Stone that the Godslayer was talking about. The Void Stone is a very rare material. It was born in the void outside of heaven and earth, and then fell into this world by chance. The Godslayer explained, "You have to know that there is a barrier outside of heaven and earth. The Void Stone can pass through the barrier because it has the ability to swallow the void and even carry the void. In other words, even if the seal is broken, the small world in the ancient immortal ring will not fall out. It won't." The Godslayer shook his head and said, "I think the seal is only to resist the erosion of the void turbulence. The ancient immortal ring is the real body that carries the small world. As long as the ancient immortal ring is not broken, the small world will not appear. If you want to move this small world out, it's very simple. As long as you are strong enough, the moment the ancient immortal ring shatters, you can directly support the falling small world. After that, you can use the shattered void stone to corrode the space. After that, you can use this opportunity to send the small world into the void. As Qin Shujian listened to the Godslayer's words, he looked at the ancient, immortal ring in his hand. He had the idea of using the small world, but he couldn't think of how to do it. The Godslayer's words. It gave Qin Shujian a lot of reminders. The Godslayer said indifferently, there are many ways to carry a small world. One is like the mystic realms of the various races, directly sending it into the space. The other is like Heavenly Pattern Island, using a powerful Tao artifact to carry the small world as the entrance. Comparing the two, I'm more inclined to the first. Because, strictly speaking, a small world is an existence that is completely independent of heaven and earth. If you send it into the void, it is equivalent to parasitizing heaven and earth. And the space it relies on is an entrance to the small world. Even if the entrance is broken, you can control the small world to leave heaven and earth at any time, or move it to another place. It won't be easily broken by strong enemies. But if it relies on a Tao artifact, it will live and die with the Tao artifact. You must know that even the strongest Tao artifact will fall. Even the immortal leaderboard of the myriad races is still a pile of fragments. This method is actually the most unreliable. After listening to the Godslayer's explanation, Qin Shujian also had a sufficient understanding of the small world. If that was the case, then he knew what to do next. The only problem he had to consider at the moment was what kind of strength was needed to support a small world. It would be awkward if he had to be a perfected immortal. Senior, what kind of strength is needed to support a small world? Your strength is basically enough, isn't it? The Godslayer answered, but he sounded a bit uncertain. Qin Shujian's face darkened. He was unreliable again at the critical moment. Basically, it was enough. If it was not enough and the small world smashed down, he, Emperor Qin, would lose all his face. Seeing Qin Shujian's darkened face, the Godslayer coughed softly and said, in fact, it has been a long time since the last cultivator who could support a small world. I don't remember it clearly, but his strength should be similar to yours. At most, he was a bit stronger than you. If he could do it, there is no reason why you can't. Because there is no problem. Don't worry. Why do I feel that there is a big problem? Qin Shujian said gloomily. Is there no problem? Is there really no problem? I feel that the more you talk, the less confident you are. Right at this moment, Qin Shujian suddenly turned his head sideways and looked outside the courtyard. Soon, a person walked in from outside. Emperor Qin, senior god slaying. Is Zhao Emperor's way of doing things always so direct? Qin Shujian's face darkened again. This is the second time. The person in front of him came to his door without greeting him the second time. If he hadn't set up a formation in advance, he might not have been able to close the gap so quickly. You are too polite, Emperor Zhao. Compared to Qin Shujian, the Godslayer was much more polite. No matter what, the person in front of him was also a human emperor. As the Zhu Bing of the human race, he couldn't be too arrogant. Emperor Zhao said with a faint smile, Don't blame me, Emperor Qin. Ben Huang will be careful next time. He said he would be careful. However, he sat down on the stone bench consciously. Looking at him, Qin Shujian said helplessly, Emperor Zhao, why do you have time to come here? Emperor Qin should know why Ben Huang is here, Emperor Zhao said seriously. Emperor Zhao's expression turned solemn as he said in a deep voice, I want to know about what happened in the human territory in the Western Prefecture. Is that human immortal the one who set up the heaven and earth restriction 200,000 years ago? That's right. Qin Shujian nodded slightly, then told him everything that he had learned so far. He didn't hide anything about the ancient immortal ring. After a long while, Emperor Zhao sighed and said, Ben Huang admires what Senior Xia Yi did. He admired this expert who kept the human race's inheritance. He admired him from the bottom of his heart. If it weren't for this expert, the human race might have been wiped out 200,000 years ago. They wouldn't have survived until now. Although Senior Xia Yi died, there is something that Ben Huang didn't expect. Emperor Qin, are you talking about the immortal of the demon race? That's right. Qin Shujian's expression was solemn as he said, the demon tribe still has a genuine immortal from 200,000 years ago. This is something I didn't expect. With the demon tribe's foundation, they could still retain a genuine immortal. Can the Blood Eldar, Shin clan, ancient Buddha clan, and other top clans have immortals from 200,000 years ago? If so, these true immortals are a great threat to the human tribe. Even if they can't attack it well now, when the time comes, what can the human tribe do to stop them? The appearance of the immortals of the demon race. That made Qin Shujian realize the seriousness of the matter. How strong were the immortals? He didn't know before, but now he fully understood. Even someone as strong as the demon emperor could be severely injured with a wave of his hand. Needless to say, the other demons were like ants in front of the immortals. They could kill a large number of them with one palm. It would be fine if the immortals of the human race attacked the demon race. But if the immortals of other clans attacked the human race, it would be a big problem. He had to grow to the point where he could fight against the immortals. Qin Shujian felt that he would need a considerable amount of time at the very least. Hearing that, Emperor Zhao said, "You can rest assured about that. Even if there are immortals from ancient times in the various clans, they won't dare to walk out of the seal without permission. That's because the 129,600 years is the rule set by the heavens and earth. When any true immortal reached the end of their lifespan, they had to die. But if they dare to use other means to avoid death, the heavens and earth will send down the thunder tribulation to wipe out the existence who took advantage of the loopholes in the rules. The vast blood-colored thunder tribulation this time is the punishment of the heavens and earth. Senior Xia Yi should have died 200,000 years ago, but now he suddenly appeared and attracted the attention of the heavens and earth. It's the same for the immortals of the demon race. It can be said that even if these immortals really walk out of the seal, they won't be able to reach the eastern continent under the thunder tribulation. And even if they can reach the eastern continent, they won't have much power under the punishment of the thunder tribulation. You know, not every immortal is like Senior Xia Yi. Emperor Zhao wasn't too worried about this matter. He knew more about what happened 200,000 years ago than Qin Shujian. Among the immortals of the various clans, Xia Yi of the human race was the strongest. Xia Yi died because there were too few immortals of the human race. On the contrary, there were too many immortals of the other clans. Or else, Xia Yi wouldn't die. Similarly, with Xia Yi's strength, he died under the thunder tribulation in the end. The other immortals were not qualified to resist the thunder tribulation. It was fine if the immortals of these clans didn't come out. Once they came out, they would be digging their own graves. Hearing that, Qin Shujian's expression relaxed a lot. He didn't believe the words of others, but he believed Emperor Zhao's words. Immediately, he took out the ancient immortal ring and put it in front of Emperor Zhao. It contains half of Senior Xia Yi's rules. If Emperor Zhao can't take it, you can use it. This way, the human race will have one more immortal, and you won't have to worry about your lifespan. P.S. Midnight is gone. All that's left is to write during the day. Chapter 619. Half a Rule. It was what Xia Yi really wanted to leave for the human race. One had to know that the other party was a perfected immortal in the middle 3 levels. He was very strong. In ancient times, he would be a big shot. Such an existence. Even half a rule was stronger than the rule that an ordinary perfected immortal had mastered. If one could become an immortal with this half a rule, even if he wouldn't be too strong, he definitely wouldn't be too weak. Xia Yi did this. Obviously, he had planned this. The other party had predicted that no one would become an immortal in hundreds of thousands of years. In this way, if the human race could become an immortal with this half a rule, they might be able to turn the situation around. As for who to give the half a rule to, it wasn't difficult to choose. Qin Shujian definitely wouldn't use this half a rule himself. After all, he had the source of life. Becoming an immortal was only a matter of time. As for the others, Qin Shujian couldn't take out the rule casually. It was very simple. If a mighty figure became an immortal with this half a rule, then what would he do as the Qin Emperor? Subdue a perfected immortal with his identity as the human emperor? Or establishing another human emperor on top of the original foundation of the human race? But the current situation of the human race wasn't very complicated. It was only divided into the cultivation world and the imperial court. Now that he was in charge of the cultivation world and Emperor Zhao was in charge of the imperial court, Qin Shujian felt that this was the best situation. One more human emperor. It might break the balance. More importantly, if there was one more human emperor to take over his authority, the source of life that the entire cultivation world provided to him might be reduced by half. At that time, he would really be lifting a rock and smashing his own foot. In addition, Emperor Zhao was nearing the end of his lifespan. If the other party couldn't break through and become an immortal, he might die here. In terms of feelings, Emperor Zhao treated him quite well. In terms of reason, without Emperor Zhao, there would definitely be a lot of chaos in the human race. In addition, with the various clans around, it wouldn't be so easy to suppress one less supreme expert. So no matter what, Emperor Zhao was the only person who could use this half a rule. The only problem was, with the other party's vision, would he use Xia Yi's half rule? As expected, Emperor Zhao looked at the ancient immortal ring in front of him and shook his head slightly. Senior Xia Yi's laws are good, but Ben Huang is ultimately walking on his own path. His lifespan is nearing its end. But no matter what, there's still some time. There's still time. Zhao Huang refused. It was unexpected, but also reasonable. Qin Shujian calmly kept the ancient immortal ring and said, "Zhao Emperor, are you sure you can become an immortal?" No one can say for sure that they can become an immortal. Ben Huang can only say that there is a chance. Emperor Zhao smiled faintly, but the confidence he exuded made Qin Shujian raise his eyebrows. However, now is not the time to become an immortal. The human race is not strong enough. If Ben Huang were to become an immortal, the other races would definitely come to stop them. Although only those who walk the path of laws could come forward to block the path. However, the various races might still have a way to break through the Tao. We have to seriously consider this and be fully prepared. Immortal ascension was the real problem. It was to obstruct the path. As long as the problem of obstructing the path was solved, there would be no trouble in becoming an immortal. Others can break through the Tao and enter? Qin Shujian frowned. He had never heard the god-slaying saber mention this before. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian could not help but look at Godslayer, who was sitting calmly at the side. He sensed that someone was looking at him. Godslayer rolled his eyes. "Don't look at me. You know, so many years have passed and my memory is not very clear." However, Zhao Emperor is right. Although there are few ways to break through the Tao and enter, there are still some. The simplest way is to use a law to forcefully break through another law. Then, the cultivator who has mastered the law will enter and fight with the person who has achieved the Tao. However, to be honest, it's very difficult to do this. Only a true immortal can break through the Tao and stop others when they are achieving the Tao. Qin Shujian's face darkened. However, Godslayer's words reminded him of something. Only a true immortal could break through the Tao and enter. In that case, if there were really true immortals in the various races, what was the purpose of their existence? Zhao Emperor saw Qin Shujian's expression. He nodded and said, "It's just as you think. If there are really true immortals in the various races, then their greatest role is to break through the Tao. If other races achieve the Tao through nirvana, then they will stop them. Similarly, if their own race achieves the Tao through nirvana, they will also help. The lifespan of these true immortals has long been exhausted. This is the reason why the various races paid such a huge price to let those powerhouses survive until now." He understood. He understood everything. Qin Shujian instantly figured out many things. If Xia Yi did not make a move, the old dragon of the demon race should be the demon emperor's Tao protector. That's right, Tao protector. And it was a true Tao protector who protected the other party to achieve the Tao. 200,000 years ago, the various races besieged the human race. In the end, more than 10 true immortals were killed by Xia Yi. Only a few true immortals managed to escape. As such, there were not many true immortals left in the 4 continents. At the very most, there should only be about 5 or 6 left. Moreover, they were all hiding somewhere and did not dare to appear easily. Because once these true immortals appeared, they would definitely die. There was absolutely no chance for them to make a comeback. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian said, Do the human race still have ancient true immortals like Senior Xia? No. Emperor Zhao shook his head straightforwardly. After the ancient times, it was difficult for the human race to survive. How could there be true immortals who had exhausted their lifespan and survived until now? To put it bluntly, the true immortals of the human race could not live until the day their lifespan was exhausted. They were all fighting for the human race. They perished together with the powerhouses of the various races and preserved the human race's fire seed in the end. If those ancestors were not willing to die, how could there be the human race today? The ancestors of the human race have already died in battle. To be honest, even Bin Huang doesn't know that Senior Xia Yi is still alive. I have also explored the void turbulence, but I didn't go too far. Emperor Zhao sighed. If they had discovered Xia Yi's existence earlier, the human race might not have been so simple. However, there were no ifs. The current situation, it was not very bad. The human race had left the eastern continent, but with him and Qin Shujian holding down the fort, they could ensure that the race was safe. As long as the various races did not produce true immortals, they could not break this situation for the time being. Qin Shujian said, now that the Demon Emperor is seriously injured and the Tao Protector Perfected Immortal has died, he might not have the chance to break through to become an immortal in the next few decades. Moreover, Bin Huang has also seen his talent. It is only superior grade. With such talent, even if he is not injured, it is unknown whether he can become an immortal. The remaining three are the Divine Emperor, the Bloodling Huang, and the Ancient Buddha Emperor. If they become immortals first, they will definitely attack the human race immediately. If that's the case, do you have the confidence to deal with them? The Blood Eldar did not need to talk about it. If the God race had the chance, they would definitely destroy the human race and solidify their position. As for the Ancient Buddha race, to be honest, Qin Shujian was not worried. The Ancient Buddha Emperor wanted to become an immortal. He had to ask him. As long as the other party dared to open up a battlefield of laws, Qin Shujian would definitely go over and teach them a lesson. Therefore, seriously speaking, the biggest threat was still the Divine Emperor and the Bloodling Huang. Now, the strongest of the various races were racing against time to break through to become a perfected immortal. Hearing that, Emperor Zhao did not look very worried. He looked at Qin Shujian and said with a smile, if Bin Huang can't do it, there is still the Qin Emperor. If the two of us work together, it should not be a problem to fight a perfected immortal in the human territory. Besides, does the Qin Emperor really think that the three of us have the greatest chance of becoming an immortal? Should again. Qin Shujian was now deeply disgusted by this word. However, the Zhao Emperor's words stunned him for a moment. What do you mean? Could it be that there are still other hidden experts? The Qin Emperor, you are mistaken. Emperor Zhao shook his head and said faintly, immortal ascension is not something that can only be achieved after reaching the Nirvana realm. Strictly speaking, the Nirvana realm is actually a disguised failure. They failed to succeed in reaching the true immortal realm from the 10th layer of the celestial realm, so they became the Nirvana realm. Many cultivators in the 4 continents think that to become an immortal, one must reach the Nirvana realm. In fact, that is not the case. The 10th level of the celestial being realm is enough to become an immortal. As long as they can cross it, all the experts in the 10th level of the celestial being realm are qualified to become an immortal on the spot. It is just that the Nirvana realm has a greater chance. After all, they have already taken half a step. However, even if the chance is greater, it is not absolute. The 10th level of the celestial being realm, one could become an immortal. Qin Shujian's face froze. Emperor Zhao's words instantly brought him back to reality. That's right. There had never been a rule that one could only become an immortal after reaching the Nirvana realm, just as the Godslayer said. In fact, there was no Nirvana realm at all. Strictly speaking, the Nirvana realm belonged to the celestial being realm. Therefore, cultivators in this realm could not increase one's lifespan. The Nirvana realm was equivalent to taking a step forward from the celestial being realm. However, one could not truly cross the other side of the immortal realm. That was why it was called the Nirvana realm. However, if there was an expert with outstanding talent, if one directly stepped into the 10th level of the celestial being realm, there was a great chance that one could directly cross the barrier of the Nirvana realm and ascend to the other side of the immortal realm. He understood. At this moment, Qin Shujian completely understood. If there were not many Nirvana realm experts in the 4 continents, then there were too many experts in the 10th level of the celestial being realm. Basically, every race had an emperor in the 10th level of the celestial being realm. This was also the foundation of a race's existence. If there were no experts of this level overseeing the race, it would be difficult for that race to maintain itself. The strong preyed on the weak. It was a very realistic thing everywhere. It was the same even in the East continent. In the past, there were many sections. If some sect experts died, they would definitely be annexed by other sections. In the other 3 continents, the result would be even more tragic. Once a race did not have enough experts to suppress it, a war would break out, and the race would be annihilated. It could be said that the races that were not strong enough had all died. Among the remaining races, there were at least emperors in the 10th level of the celestial being realm overseeing them. Even if there were strong and weak emperors, but the 10th level of the celestial being realm was the basic operation. Not to mention the East continent. How many races were there in the other 3 continents? Qin Shujian made a rough calculation. 10,000 races was definitely an exaggeration, but there were at least thousands of races. In other words, the 3 continents. There were thousands of people in the 10th level of the celestial being realm. There were so many experts. There was no guarantee that a few true immortals would jump out. This was not a wild guess. After all, it was about becoming an immortal. No one could be sure. Instantly, a sense of urgency rose in Qin Shujian's heart. There was no other way. Right now, the Nirvana realm could only be considered a temporary supreme expert. In the future, when a true immortal appeared, the Nirvana realm would be his younger brother. The details could be seen from the fact that the demon emperor was beaten up by Xia Yi's remnant soul. Although Xia Yi was a middle 3 true immortal at his peak, but he had already fallen 200,000 years ago. The one controlling his body was only a remnant soul, so how much strength could he have left? But even so, the demon emperor was still hung up and beaten. Qin Shujian shuddered at the thought of being hung up and beaten by an unfamiliar true immortal one day. No, absolutely not. When that time came, the human race would be in an even more difficult situation. Once a true immortal appeared in the other races, they would immediately target the East continent. There was no other way. After all, the human race occupied a continent alone. It would make others jealous. That was for sure. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian took a deep breath and looked at Emperor Zhao seriously. Why don't you use half of Senior Xia Yi's rules to become an immortal? At least the human race won't fall behind the other races. It was better to become an immortal. After becoming an immortal, the human race would have some confidence. Hearing that, Emperor Zhao looked helpless. Ben Huang still wants to rely on himself. Actually, you don't have to worry, Emperor Qin. The human race is now at its peak. Even if a true immortal attacks the East continent, it will be difficult for them to gain any benefits. Unless it's a true immortal like Senior Xia Yi, it will be more difficult to resist. The other problems are not big. Emperor Qin, if you have time, why don't you forge a few more doctrine artifacts? It will also improve the human race's luck. Emperor Zhao felt a little tired. He really wanted to rely on himself to struggle. Although Xia Yi's half of the rules were good, to be honest, he didn't think highly of it. Xia Yi was strong, but Emperor Zhao didn't think he was weaker than others. It would be fine if it was a complete rule, but a half rule was really not worth mentioning. Regarding that, Qin Shujian didn't want to force him. However, Emperor Zhao's words made him frown. There isn't much time left before the demon abyss lands on the East continent. If more regions are created, the time will be shortened further. To forge a doctrine artifact, there must be an innate embryo. This is undoubtedly killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. Last time, I had no choice but to forge the human monument. But now, it's not suitable to do so. Speaking of this, he looked at Emperor Zhao and said with a faint smile, however, Ben Huang has an idea. I wonder what Emperor Zhao thinks about it. Please go ahead. The human race has a short lifespan, but their corresponding talents are also very strong. Compared to the demon race, which takes hundreds or thousands of years to reach, the human race only needs a few decades or 100 years. The great Zhao dynasty has ruled the world for thousands of years. Although many heavenly beings have been born in the imperial court, there aren't many of them in the cultivation world. The reason is that there are shackles in cultivation methods. The divine connection methods are controlled by the top sects, which makes it extremely difficult for other cultivator sects to obtain higher-level cultivation methods. Qin Shujian said slowly. Emperor Zhao sat on the side and listened. He understood the other party's words. Qin Shujian said, "It's not just the divine connection methods. In fact, many of the human race's cultivation methods at the true martial realm, spiritual martial realm, and divine martial realm are also severely lacking. Compared to the number of people in the cultivation world, there are more ordinary humans. As for the other races, even the most ordinary clansmen are at the basic martial realm or even the true martial realm. Compared to them, the human race is really weak. In the end, it's all a problem of cultivation methods. If the cultivation methods were to be spread out, everyone would be able to cultivate them. Although the human race would not immediately produce many strong cultivators, at least the overall strength of the human race would increase to a certain extent. As for after cultivating the cultivation methods, would there be a lack of civilians to engage in production? These problems, in fact, they were not problems. In a situation where there were mortals, cultivators were high and mighty. However, if all the human race stepped into the cultivation world, there would be no change in nature. The only thing to worry about it was a problem of resources. Would the resources of the eastern continent be able to support such a large consumption? There would also be more and more cultivators inhaling and exhaling spirit qi. Would it speed up the process of approaching the demon abyss? However, in Qin Shujian's opinion, these were all things that could be borne. There was no need to talk about resources. If the eastern continent did not have them, then they would go to the 3 major continents and fight for them. As for the problem of landing in the demon abyss, they would land sooner or later. What was the difference? A few 100 years later, 100 years later, in Qin Shujian's opinion, the gap was not big at all. Would the human race be able to produce enough strong cultivators in another 200 years? It would not. In 200 years, it would be a problem to produce 2 more true immortals. In ancient times, hundreds of true immortals had been defeated. Therefore, to fight against the demon abyss, they had to start from other aspects. Qin Shujian immediately thought of this. It was to collectively improve the strength of the human race, and then speed up the harvesting of life sources to further improve their strength. To be honest, it was no longer realistic to rely on true immortals to fight against the demon abyss. It was still the same sentence. The lessons of the ancient times were there. Therefore, to fight against the demon abyss, they had to have the strength to suppress the entire demon abyss. He wanted to achieve this step. If the quantity could not meet the requirements, they could only rely on quality to improve. Qin Shujian was confident. He was the strong cultivator with quality. Therefore, Bin Huang plans to establish the Qinyuan sacred ground after a period of time, integrate all the cultivation methods, and preach to the human race. At that time, all the cultivation methods will be controlled by the sacred ground. In this way, the problem of inheritance will no longer be a problem. All the humans in the world can embark on the path of cultivation, and the strength of the human race will inevitably increase. After that, Qin Shujian's gaze fell on Emperor Zhao. This matter, it was not just a matter of the cultivation world. It would also affect the great Zhao Empire. Therefore, Qin Shujian did not make a decision alone. He still had to discuss it with Emperor Zhao. After a while, Emperor Zhao said slowly, Bin Huang once had this idea, but at that time, the human race was unstable and there were demons around. If we rashly preached to the world, it would inevitably cause unnecessary twists and turns. In the current situation, this is the right thing to do. However, Bin Huang also needs to remind you of something. The human heart is unpredictable, and the human race likes to fight among themselves. If the cultivation method is spread, I'm afraid there will be some turmoil, and it may cause the human race to split. The Qin Emperor should be mentally prepared for these things. The human race will not have the chance to split. A cold light flashed in Qin Shujian's eyes as he said in a deep voice, "This emperor will directly annihilate anything that dares to divide the human race. Since I dared to pass down this cultivation technique, I'm confident in suppressing this unforeseen event. As long as some people are afraid of me, there won't be so much trouble after I kill them." The inheritance of the cultivation method. It would definitely cause the human race to be shaken, and there might even be bloodshed. However, in Qin Shujian's opinion, to reform, bloodshed was inevitable, and so was turmoil. If something unpredictable was really discovered, he would just suppress it by force. Qin Shujian would not be soft-hearted when killing outsiders, and he would do the same when killing the human race. He was the emperor of the human race. He was not the emperor of a single person. The inheritance of the cultivation method was a big matter that involved the entire human race. How could it be changed because of a single person? Emperor Qin has made the decision, and Ben Huang has no objection. Emperor Zhao nodded slightly, and then sighed. The human race has been quiet for so many years. It's time to give it a try. Even if we delay it for hundreds of years, when the demonic abyss comes, we might end up being wiped out. It's the same whether we die early or late. It's better to give it a try. Maybe we can still have a chance of survival. Compared to Qin Shujian, Emperor Zhao understood many things. Then, Qin Shujian said, "I heard Senior Xia Yi say that he saw the future in the River of Time. Emperor Zhao has also summoned the River of Time. Can you see the future?" "It's difficult." Emperor Zhao shook his head. The River of Time can go back and go to the future. It's easy to look back in the past, but it's extremely difficult to look into the future. The future has countless changes. The future you see in the River of Time is not necessarily the future. If you act according to the image you see, it will trigger unpredictable consequences. What Emperor Zhao said, it was similar to Xia Yi's. Regarding this, Qin Shujian also extinguished the idea of looking into the future. Ben Huang has other things to do, so I'll leave first. See you later. Emperor Zhao put down the teacup in his hand, then got up and left. This time, he did not use the carriage. Instead, he stepped on the void and escaped. Show off. Qin Shujian shook his head, disdainful of this. He found that he and Emperor Zhao cared. Emperor Zhao's every move seemed to be an invisible show-off. They were both show-offs. He felt that Emperor Zhao's show-off method was more skillful. However, Qin Shujian did not have any evidence to prove that Emperor Zhao was show-off in front of him. He only saw Emperor Zhao suddenly appear a few times. This allowed him to see something. Getting along with Emperor Zhao, Qin Shujian preferred to face Godslayer. Although this knife was not very reliable sometimes, it still looked quite pleasing to the eye. Senior, does the River of Time exist in the mother stream of rules, or does the River of Time exist independently? Qin Shujian asked the question in his heart. Regarding this, Godslayer was speechless. If you know it's the River of Time, then it must be separated from the mother stream of rules. Otherwise, why isn't it called the Time Rule River? Time Rule River? The stone knife flashed. Qin Shujian expressionlessly kept him in his sea of consciousness. Forget it. Don't ask anymore. It's meaningless. Then, Qin Shujian's figure flashed again and appeared in the martial arts hall. Emperor Qin. Zheng Fang was stunned for a moment, but he reacted very quickly. Qin Shujian said, "In the past few days, how are the materials for building the human emperor's palace?" "I'm collecting them now." Qin Shujian nodded slightly, then said, "By the way, help Ben Huang send a message to the imperial astronomer. Tell Su Zhan that Ben Huang wants to see him. It's best if he can come as soon as possible." In the past, Sky Origin Sect naturally did not have the qualifications to directly send a message to the imperial astronomer. But it was different now. Sky Origin Sect's status was equal to the imperial court, so it was possible to send a message to the imperial astronomer. At this moment, in the eastern continent, everything was much calmer. Qin Shujian was overseeing the cultivation world. The human emperor was overseeing the imperial city of Zhengzhou. In the human territory, Xia Yi killed the demon race's true immortal and severely injured the demon emperor, so no one dared to provoke the human race, especially Qin Shujian's last words. This made the experts of those clans even more furious, but at the same time, they also felt a great deal of fear. They could see it. Qin Shujian's words were not a threat. If they really angered the other party, perhaps that madman would lead the human experts to exterminate his own race. No, perhaps there was no need to lead the human race experts. Qin Shujian alone might be able to do it. After all, a top emperor was no joke. In the Western continent, the Black Rock Condor race. Since the last battle with the nine-headed dog race, an irreparable crack had appeared in the alliance between the two races. All along, together with the Earthbound dragons, the main purpose of the alliance between the three races was to fight against the demon race. However, the Black Emperor made a move last time to stop the nine-headed dog race from helping the human race. There were faint signs that he was secretly siding with the demon race. For this, the nine-headed dog race and the Earthbound dragons were extremely wary of him. As a result, the Black Rock Condor race was in a difficult situation. At this moment, in the Black Rock's secret realm, is there any news from the demon race? The Black Emperor looked at the many elders below and said in a deep voice. As soon as he finished speaking, an elder cupped his hands and said, "My Emperor, the demon race has withdrawn all their forces in their own territory. Although they haven't sealed the demon race's secret realm, it's almost done. That human perfected immortal has dealt a heavy blow to the demon race." Trash. The Black Emperor couldn't help but curse. He wasn't scolding Xia Yi. He was scolding the demon emperor, that perfected immortal of the demon race. Everything was afraid of comparison. It was the same for perfected immortals. If Xia Yi hadn't appeared, that perfected immortal of the demon race would naturally be unparalleled. However, in front of Xia Yi, the old dragon's strength was really much weaker. Not to mention his defeat. Even the heavenly demon temple was damaged, the demon emperor was severely injured, and the remaining demon race had suffered heavy casualties. Such heavy injuries. It was enough to cause the demon race to suffer heavy injuries and their strength to drop by a lot. If it was in the past, the decline of the demon race's strength was a good thing for the Black Emperor because the Black Rock Condor race was his enemy. The other party's strength had weakened. The pressure on him had also lessened by a lot. But the problem was, the Black Rock Condor race was no longer the Black Rock Condor race of the past, just as the other two races had guessed. The Black Rock Condor race had actually secretly joined forces with the demon race long ago in order to find a suitable opportunity to attack the nine-headed hound race and the subduing dragons. In the end, Qin Shujian's incident last time, he had no choice but to expose himself and make the two races wary. Regarding this, the Black Emperor didn't care too much, because in his opinion, even if his goal was seen through, it didn't matter. It was no big deal. The Black Rock Condor race could openly lean towards the demon race. With the power of the demon race, his Black Rock Condor race couldn't destroy them. In the end, not long after, the demon race encountered such a huge change, and their strength fell to the freezing point. As a traitor, the Black Rock Condor race. Instantly, they were in a very awkward situation. Trash. All of you are trash. Thinking of this, the Black Emperor couldn't help but curse. He had to know that the demon race was so useless. He should have stood firm and fought against the demon race back then. Not like now. He became a traitor. More importantly, the demon race was now weak, and the Black Rock Condor race might be implicated because of this. At this moment, a mighty figure of the Black Rock Condor race said, "My Emperor, in the past few days, the subduing dragons and the nine-headed hound race seem to have made some movements. They seem to be planning something. Although we didn't get much information, we suspect that they are going to attack the demon race. Why can't we get any information? Don't our race have spies in the two races?" Reporting to the Emperor, our clan's spies have been almost completely eradicated a few days ago. Only a few on the periphery are still alive. Trash. The Black Emperor was furious again. Why didn't they remove them earlier or later? Why did they have to do so many at this juncture? It was obvious. The two races no longer trusted the Black Rock Condor race. Facing the Black Emperor's anger, The other elders were silent. After the other party's anger dissipated, an elder cupped his hands. My emperor, if the various races attack the demon race, what should we do? Is that demon emissary still in our race? Yes, that elder said in a deep voice. The Black Emperor's expression was uncertain, as if he was thinking about something. After a long time, he raised his head to look at the elder and said, "Kill that demon emissary and then publicly throw his corpse back to the demon race. Let them know that the Black Stone Condor race will never wallow in evil with the demon race. Let them give up on that thought." The demon race was crippled, at least half crippled. Next, if the demon race didn't have any trump cards, this once overlord force of the Western state would fall from the altar. Although they wouldn't be exterminated, they wouldn't have a good time either. In that case, how could the Black Emperor be willing to live and die with the demon race? So, the only thing he could do now was to distance himself from the demon race. At the same time, it was also to prove to the two races. He, the Black Emperor, had made a move not for the demon race, but because he didn't want the nine-headed dog race to interfere in the battle of the human race. Anyway, these things, as long as there was a reason, it was enough. The Black Emperor also believed that the two races wouldn't really fall out with him. After all, the Black Rock Condor race wasn't weak. If they really fell out, everyone wouldn't have a good time. Therefore, the corpse of the demon race emissary could be considered a way out. Hearing this, most of the elders didn't object. Now that the demon race was crippled, no one was willing to live and die with the demon race. Adding insult to injury, it couldn't be more normal. But this way, in the future, the Black Rock Condor race would no longer be able to stand together with the demon race. In other words, this way of doing things would completely force the demon race to the opposite side. My emperor, if the demon race still has any trump cards, we will anger the demon race by doing this. At that time, I'm afraid there will be a lot of trouble. Some elders looked worried. The Black Emperor said coldly, "If we anger them, then so be it. How can Ben Huang be afraid of a mere demon race? Do as Ben Huang says." Our Black Rock Condor race will never be in cahoots with the demon race. What a joke. If the demon race had any trump cards, would they be beaten so badly by Xia of the human race? Obviously, the demon race no longer had any trump cards. If he still hesitated at this time, it wouldn't be so easy to cut ties with the demon race in the future. In terms of fence-sitters, the Black Emperor still had a lot of potential. The demon race was weak. He immediately made up his mind to leave this lousy ship of the demon race. After the order was given, many elders retreated. Not long after, there was a shocking fluctuation in the Black Rock mystic realm. A WIRM soared into the sky, wanting to leave the mystic realm, but it was stopped by several Black Rock Condor race mighty figures. A terrifying power erupted. In a situation where one was against many, the WIRM was no match at all. Black Rock Condor race, you went back on your words. The demon race won't let you off. The WIRM cried blood and let out an angry roar. Himph! How can our Black Rock Condor race be in cahoots with the demon race? Today, we will kill you to restore our race's reputation. A ninth-level heaven, human realm mighty figure snorted coldly. Then, he pressed down with his palm and forcefully blasted the WIRM down. Boom! Boom! The battle broke out very quickly, but it also ended very quickly. That WIRM was only a 7th-level heaven human realm mighty figure. Its strength was considered to be at the bottom of the mighty figures. Several 8th or 9th-level heaven, human realm mighty figures surrounded it. They killed it. It only took a moment. The battle quieted down very quickly. In addition, the battle broke out in the Black Rock mystic realm, so the mighty figures of the other races did not notice it. The demon race mystic realm. Previously, Xia had torn the mystic realm apart with a finger. Now, many demon race mighty figures were repairing the mystic realm. As for the demon emperor, he was recuperating in the dragon transformation pool. It was called the dragon transformation pool. In fact, the pool water was like a vast river. The demon emperor's broken dragon body was lying in the river water. Waves of mysterious power were repairing his broken body. All of a sudden, the sleeping true dragon woke up. The demon emperor opened his huge eyes. His pupils were filled with anger. Just a moment ago, a bad feeling arose in his heart, followed by a faint sense of sorrow. With the demon emperor's current strength, with such signs appearing, how could they not understand what was going on? Only his bloodline had fallen. That was why. At this moment, many demon race mighty figures who were repairing the mystic realm looked up at the same time. Through the cracks in the mystic realm, they saw the void above distorting. What's going on? Is there a mighty figure attacking? Be alert. Be alert immediately. These demon race mighty figures were like birds startled by the twang of a bow. The incident with Xia Yi not long ago had really broken their peace. Suddenly, the void shattered. A mighty figure stepped out of the void with a huge object in his hand. Then, he threw the object toward the demon race's mystic realm. At the same time, he shouted sternly, "How can the Black Rock Condor race cooperate with the demon race? This is a warning. If you dare to send people to our territory in the future, you will end up like this." After that, the mighty figure stepped into the air and left. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.